Oh, yes, sir, and yes, ma'am. You had better wake them up. Got to get them up. Even on what's going to be a Blue Monday for a lot of Longhorn fans, Cowboys fans. Those wearing the maroon down in College Station, going to be a rough Monday as you get up and out after what happened over the weekend. It's going to be a rainy Monday as well with rain in the forecast starting about 7 o'clock this morning and all day today. A little light rain and maybe a little heavier in spots, so be advised of that as you get up and out on this Monday morning, the 14th of November, and a lot to do, the good, the bad, and the ugly from the busy weekend. We do it each and every Monday here on the Show of the People, and we appreciate you being there, however you find us early on this morning. Early Bird always gets the worm on 104.9, maybe it's 101.9 FM, AM 1260, and you know we're always streaming for you. Take us wherever you go on that Horn app, always on your smart speaker at home or at work, and always at hornfm.com. Mr. Godbolt.
Good morning to the soldiers at Fort Hood, Texas, the soldiers in the state of Texas, and all those that fight for us each and every day. Thank you so very much for what you do, and hopefully those in the military had a wonderful weekend. That weekend, this weekend, all over the country for our veterans and for our military was fantastic. All over the sports landscape, not only in college, high school, everything. That was perfect.
Yeah, Veterans Day weekend. Outside of the horrible incident and tragedy up in Dallas.
Oh my goodness, the air show.
The air show and the World War II planes collision, and looks like 6 have passed, and I think that was one of only 9 of those bombers still in flight that went down in South Dallas on Saturday. What a horrible scene that was for all involved.
Yeah, the history behind those bombers aren't real good for air shows and things like that.
Oh, man, that was not good. Now, the video of it, hard to watch for sure. And, on a much lighter note, hard to watch the Cowboys on Saturday. The Longhorns on Saturday, the Cowboys yesterday in the second half. We'll dive into all of it with you, the good, the bad, and the ugly from a busy weekend. Hope everybody had a great one outside of the results on the field. And if you're a TCU fan, you're feeling great right now. Sitting at 10-0. Packer fans, how about the Bills-Vikings game? Colt McCoy gets a win as a starting quarterback. Jeff Saturday gets a win as a first game head coach. So there's a lot to get into here over the course of 4 hours of conversation. But how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. I had a fantastic weekend. I got to see my grandkids Saturday morning.
Nice.
Hadn't seen much of them, and it was good to see them. Man, boy, did they change in a hurry.
Yeah, it was a busy weekend for us. This is wedding week, Buck.
Yeah, it is. There's a lot going on.
My son's
Your
getting
weekend
married
was
this weekend.
busy, I guarantee you.
Oh, yeah. Well, work, and then the last weekend to get stuff done. Company starts rolling in here on Wednesday, and my oldest is getting hitched this weekend. So a lot to put together and a lot to get done, but it'll be a fun week. Wish it was for your Longhorn fan coming off a win. But the up-and-down roller coaster of the 2022 season continues. Let's start, as we do each morning, with the headlines. Get you caught up on the news and where you stand as you get up and out. UBO Business Services brings it to you. We'll start with the college football. And, the up-and-down 2022 season for the Longhorns continued on Saturday night. The Horns come in as a favorite and the chance to take a big step forward instead they fall to TCU 17-10. They drop out of the top 25 rankings once again following that humbling 17-10 loss. The previously potent Texas offense on a night where the defense dominated. Offense was smothered for 4 quarters by the previously pedestrian TCU defense. First-year head coach Sonny Dykes and his Frogs held the Horns' offense to 3 total points, and offensively just 199 yards for a very frustrated Steve Sarkisian.
Offensively, we never got into rhythm. We just could not find rhythm. The run game was really difficult. The pass game was difficult, and I wish it was easier to say it was this one thing that didn't go tonight. Man, it felt like we took turns across the board of just unforced errors, and ultimately that's on me. We got to find a way to give our players the confidence to go out and execute and to play the quality of football that they're capable of playing, and that didn't happen tonight.
So it did not. TCU, meanwhile, on the other side of that, they improved to 10-0, clinch a spot in the Big 12 championship game in Arlington. They also remain at number 4 in this week's AP Top 25 rankings, behind only fellow unbeatens Georgia, Ohio State, and Michigan. Outside of Fort Worth, Lubbock, pretty rough Saturday of college football around the Lone Star State. Texas State, Texas A&M, Baylor all took losses. Well, UTSA got a big win. They clinched a spot in the Conference USA championship game for Jeff Traylor. In the NFL, equally disappointing Sunday for Cowboys fans. Even mired in his worst season ever, Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers found a way to once again sting the Cowboys as Rodgers rallied Green Bay from 28-14 down in the second half, tossed 2 fourth-quarter touchdown passes to the rookie wide receiver Christian Watson. He then led a 55-yard drive in overtime to set up Georgetown's Mason Crosby for a game-winning 28-yard field goal. Packers put an end to their 5-game losing skid with a 31-28 win over their former coach Mike McCarthy and the now 6-3 Cowboys. Next up for Dallas, a trip to Minnesota to face the now 8-1 Minnesota Vikings. Vikings rallied from 17 down to shock Buffalo in Buffalo, 33-30 in overtime in a game that's easily going to be game of the year in the NFL. Certainly is to this point. Bills are now in third place in the AFC East behind the surprising Jets, who improved to 7-3. Miami rolled Cleveland yesterday 39-17. Other Week 10 highlights included Patrick Mahomes throwing 4 touchdowns to lead the 7-2 Chiefs past Jacksonville. The new Colts head coach Jeff Saturday, a winner in his debut. They won in Vegas 24-20 yesterday. Lifetime Longhorn Colt McCoy got the start in Arizona yesterday, led the Cardinals to a 27-17 win over the Rams. Sunday Night Football last night, San Francisco topped the LA Chargers 22-16 as San Fran pitched a second-half shutout there. Undefeated Philadelphia Eagles will host the Washington Commanders tonight to wrap up the week. Monday Night Football in Philly. In the NBA yesterday, all 3 Texas teams off. Philadelphia's Joel Embiid, meanwhile, went off. Big man scored a career-high 59 points, 11 rebounds as well, in the 76ers win over Utah. And in golf, Memorial Park down in Houston, Tony Finau fired a final round 69, cruised to a 4-stroke win at the Houston Open. 33-year-old Finau won just one time in his first 185 tournaments on the PGA Tour. He's now won 4 times in the last 30 tournaments, including 3 this year.
Pretty tough when the defense plays better offense than the offense plays better offense.
Yeah, pretty tough when the defense played phenomenal outside of 2 plays that they gave up 14 points on.
They just don't play well as a team. They don't know how to do that. I mean, when your defense played the way they played with an outstanding game, still gave up 138 yards to a running back and a huge monster long bomb to a guy who's wide ass open. That's the guy who can't be wide ass open.
That's a blown coverage, and then the Kendre Miller with the one run. I mean, he had 80 yards on one tote.
That counts.
Gashed him one time with the Longhorns linebackers got out of their lane and.
Tucker Dorsey was in the B gap when he should have been in the C gap. That was very similar to the Alabama run. And
I thought there could have been a hold on the outside receiver there that sprung him loose on the outside. There was also the holding call that was not called play earlier on Jahdae Barron. That even Jared Wiley was laughing about, the former Longhorn.
Oh, no, he laughed it down when he knew he got away with that.
And that was a pretty critical play because that would have backed them up into their own, inside their own 10-yard line. And who knows? Obviously, the Kendre Miller run pops right after that.
Man, is he fast.
He's a tremendous running back, and that's a good team. I mean, he's just, to me, it starts with the conversation of Sonny Dykes and the job he is doing. That team is well coached. They were fast and physical. They had hurt all week.
That's the best defensive game that they've played all year.
But that's the most frustrating part for the Longhorns.
Yeah.
Is they've been very good offensively this year, especially in first halves. TCU's pretty average defense statistically. You had 9 games of evidence to tell you that they're just an okay defense. They're not great.
No, yeah, they just out-physical. That offensive line just got humiliated. They should be humiliated.
And Steve Sarkisian got outclassed. I mean, you cannot let a team with downhill linebackers crashing the gaps.
They were coming to just stop the run.
Stop the run.
Well, you know why? Because they looked at the film and said, that's an accurate quarterback they have there.
You're not going to
watch the film. He can't beat us.
Well, it's almost like, as I tweeted this out and had some great Twitter conversation over the weekend, they really just borrowed the Oklahoma State defense from the second half in Stillwater. And Steve Sarkisian still hasn't adjusted to it. And so much so that his best room is his running back room. He completely abandoned the run in the second half. You can't even evaluate that part of the offense. Roschon Johnson and Bijan Robinson had a combined 6 carries for 4 yards in the second half. In a close game.
I know that's not giving them a chance, but dude, that offensive line got destroyed by those guys on the defensive line.
Yeah, but you have to have something. You have to have something to loosen it up.
You've got to have more run plays than the same turnaround and hand it off, or get yourself into the.
Well, I'm not saying keep running it into because they're just collapsing the line of scrimmage.
Well, they're going for the ball because they know the quarterback is not accurate enough, and when you do throw it to the receivers, they drop the ball.
Well, pretty clear on film now that you have enough of Quinn Ewers of what it's going to be. If you put the game in his hands. And then
you can't.
And then read his eyes and isolate his primary target. That's going to be what he does. I mean, and the coach is never going to change quarterbacks. The coach is not going to adjust. And, first time a team didn't, this was the first time with Sonny Dykes' team that they came in and out-coached the Longhorns ahead of the game, right? Stark usually wins that first half, that first script, first 2 quarters. And then once the team adjusts to what's happening, then he struggles. Well, this one he just struggled all night long and never really had an answer. I do think in the second half, when they started throwing some quick game, got Jordan Whittington involved, kind of an extended running game with Whittington on the outside, those quick passes. Because at that point, you got to see if they're just going to collapse their linebackers and shoot your gaps and take your run blitz you to death. Then you've got to get quick passes out and you've got to get the ball in your hands to space. Because obviously, if they're bringing people, you've got one-on-one opportunities on the outside, which they began to take advantage of. Well, then the offensive issues were further exacerbated by just horrible red zone play calling. I mean, to kick one field goal, to miss another, and to not score a touchdown, to get inside the 10-yard line twice, and Bijan Robinson never touched the ball. I mean,
yeah, that one down there about the 4 or 5 yard line where they went like 3 straight passes. I was like, come on, guys, give him a chance there.
Well, and you heard Sark say it in the headline cut. I mean, it's on him. It really is. I mean, there's no other. This was one of those games to me that's lost on Tuesday. Their scheme was better than your scheme, and you never adjusted to it. They installed a game plan that was better than what you installed.
They went after your freshman too, number 54. They went after him.
They did, and he ended up moving out because they put in another freshman at some point. 52, Devon Campbell came in the game.
Yeah, they went after him in the run game. They went through that gap so many times. They got physical. I'm serious. Watching TCU, they just didn't play that kind of defense. They hadn't played.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those. It's a situation where they were more physical. They hurt all week. 7-point underdog. Don't belong in the top 4. All of that. Texas played an entitled brand of football and got walloped. I mean, I know it was only 17-10, and it was a winnable game. It just it's one of those. Oh
no! It was getting down to who's going to make a play, and the big play came when Johnson got behind the secondary. That was a monster play.
And the Miller run, and the
oh yeah, and the 80-yard or 70-yard
touchdown run, and that was really my feel at the half. I mean, both defenses and their defensive lines and their front were dominating the opponent. I mean, TCU's offensive line was getting overwhelmed as well. Max Duggan was getting overwhelmed. They didn't have an answer on offense, and you give PK and Coach Kwiatkowski and Gary Patterson a lot of credit. They had a great defensive game plan of their own against a high-powered offense. You just knew whoever's offensive line and whichever coach made a couple of adjustments and could crank out a couple of plays in a drive or two was going to win that ballgame.
Yeah, a couple big plays, and that would do it. But the real, like you said, in the second half, those guys didn't carry the ball enough. But boy, oh boy, let me just tell you, they went balls to the wall after the running back. They just said, look, if we can just stop Bijan, if they turn around and hand it to him, we go flying to the ball because we're not going to trust them. Even if they pull it, their guys aren't going to get biased in the secondary, and their quarterback's not, and yours is not going to be accurate enough to make those plays. Yeah, and you're right. Whatever the first call for him, whenever they scheme something offensively, his deal is here's what you're looking for. You're looking for this pattern, and then you go to this or that. But he looks for that pattern. Whatever they tell him first. If that's not there, he panics then.
Well, and we've on this show been saying it for a month. It's from Stillwater. He doesn't see the field.
And he doesn't set his feet.
His fundamentals are still poor.
Yes.
And that's really the frustrating part with Steve Sarkisian, who's a quarterback guru.
Right.
This kid's not progressing. I mean, what we saw in Stillwater was a month ago now, and it's the same thing. He's got tunnel vision. He locks in on a receiver. I mean, the fact that on the one play where he threw the
best player beat that guy, the guy fell down.
The whole stadium saw it, too.
I know. Well, the fact that the quarterback who's staring on that side of the field doesn't see it tells you he's not seeing it. He's not looking. He's zeroing in on one play. It's almost like he's looking through a toilet paper roll.
What is my original thought there? I'll throw it to the original guy that I'm told to. Forget the second guy because the second guy. And my original thought is Bijan on a linebacker or on a strong safety, and you had him. The kid fell down.
Easy.
He wasn't there.
Touchdown.
Yeah,
walk-in touchdown. Just flip it out there, and it's a score. And yes, that tells you the kid's not seeing it. He's got happy feet. His fundamentals are poor.
I don't like pulling quarterbacks, but that was one of the first times I thought, you need to let somebody else go play quarterback right now.
Well, he's the lowest-rated quarterback in the Big 12 the last 3 weeks. There's not progress right now. The same fundamental issues with his footwork and his release point are hampering him. And, there's a lot of numbers we can throw out there. They went 1 for 13 on third down. I mean, 22 incomplete passes. Continues to target Xavier Worthy too often and too deep and not hitting.
And doesn't set his feet, so he underthrew one.
And that's
ballooned up in the air.
Whole point and credit to Sonny Dykes. They they figured Steve Sarkisian would be stubborn, and he was. A game that their defense here in Austin gave Texas every chance to win. The offensive side couldn't take it.
And before half, the roughing the punter, I just, after a couple times, you're going to run into him, you're going to rough him. Hey, you can stop going after it now. I mean, that's just be smart.
The punter was ridiculous.
No, that was the one that he turned sideways. That's roughing the punter. They're not going to let you get those opportunities when you slide underneath the guy and he falls on you with that plant foot. If you continue to do it and you don't actually block it, they're eventually going to throw that flag up. So there comes a time when you have to just stop. If you don't get it, then okay, stop. You're about to get the ball back. One thing you're going to do is get the football back.
Yeah.
And they still got the football. Did they not get the football back before the half?
No, I thought the roughing the punter was in the second half. There were two roughing the punter that were critical.
Was there both roughing?
Well, the first one was just running into, and they still punted. The second one was roughing, and it was a critical play because they went on to score points in a 17-point output for TCU. But look, here's the issue. It stems to Steve Sarkisian. He is willing to lose games for in his mind, I guess, the development of this quarterback.
No, you can't do that. You have to win games.
That's two of them that were there to be won. And they can't sit here and say Hudson Card would have come in and won the game. There's no way to say that. But he would have given you a better chance than what you're doing. Because think about this. When the Longhorns got the gift fumble touchdown late in the game to go from 17-3 to 17-10, and it was a gift. I mean, it was just a miss handoff with Max Duggan in the court and the running back.
And he didn't fall on it. He bounced it up in the air.
He kicked it away, and then Jahdae Barron jumps on it and runs for the touchdown. Texas, this is where you get frustrated because the defense then could not get a stop to get you the ball back. But, Ty, you were there in the cold. But did anybody in the building believe that if the Longhorns could force a stop and they get the ball back, that Quinn Ewers was taking them down the field to score?
I didn't.
No. You have zero confidence that you were going to go down the field and score a touchdown in that spot. And, again, that's where this offense is. And guess what? Kansas will copy it this week at 2:30. Baylor and Dave Aranda are going to copy it again until they – look, we're going to – because you have shown – that you will abandon your best two players in Bijan Robinson and Roschon Johnson. You will not get them involved if we do X, Y, and Z, and you're going to stick doing what you're doing. And until that changes, why would anybody do anything else?
I'm coming right after your running backs every time you turn around and hand it off to them. I'll take it that you won't be able to throw it to the receivers.
What was the score at the half, Ty?
3-0?
3-0. Roschon Johnson and Bijan Robinson had a combined 6 carries for 4 yards in the second half. They neither caught a pass. Keelan Robinson didn't run a zero jet sweep. They had no perimeter flips. Those 3 players, who are your most explosive players, didn't touch the ball in the second half in a 3-0 ball game. That's kind of a problem.
That's not a lot of gas right there. That's more like plugging my little Lionel train in the side of the wall and let's go.
And to make matters worse, when you were able to sustain a couple of drives, when you got inside the 10-yard line, Bijan Robinson didn't touch the ball twice, and you kicked a field goal, missed a field goal, and had a 4th down non-conversion.
And I'll say this, too. I mean, when you need a little bit of help, the basic what is up with the wide receivers not being able to catch a football?
Well,
now, they're not all now they're not great passes, a couple of them. But when you continue to tell me how this is the best hands on the team or this guy's got this, and they drop the ball, I'm like, come on, guys.
Xavier Worthy, for how good he is, he might have the worst hands in the nation of any
I just don't understand how they just
consistent, man. And he kind of gives up on some of those deep balls where you feel like there could be a better effort,
or at least go knock it down,
even though the throw's not perfect. Yeah, at least knock it down if it's underthrown.
Dive for it.
Yeah, and you said this the last time we had this conversation coming out of Oklahoma State. When your quarterback's having a rough night, which he was, then the other guys have to make catches. They got to make plays. Jatavion Sanders, I know it was a little bit of a low throw off the goal line, but he can't drop that ball.
No.
I mean, it's down under his waist, but, you got the best hands on the team. Catch the ball. And this is where one team was locked in, prepared, and ready for a physical fight.
Well, they're not only looking for a championship, they're getting into a national championship hunt.
Well, they smelling blood in the water. I mean, they are. TCU is now 2 wins from going back to you're going to the Big 12 championship game, potentially playing for a national championship, and they played like it on Saturday night. Now, they've got some offensive line issues to shore up. I mean, Texas's defense, Barron Sorrells and Keandre Coburn, those guys should not, as we talk about the rough offense this morning, we can't forget about how good that defense played outside of 2 plays that they blew, and credit to TCU. But if you tell anybody last week you're going to hold TCU to 17 points?
Oh, no, a team that's been scoring in the 40s?
Yeah, 46 points a game they're averaging. You're going to hold them to 17. You'll take that all day.
I want to play complimentary football. I just want to win a game. And if I have to take the quarterback out of the game to win the game and hurt somebody's feelings for a game, too bad. I mean, that's just too bad. You're there to win. You're not. Aren't you there to win the game? You're not worried about.
But was Hudson Card really going to push the ball down the field?
Who knows?
Well, what's his strength? He's got the quick passing game is his strength.
He could take off and run at least.
And he can run. He can bring some legs to it. And he forces TCU to alter their game plan. I mean, TCU never altered what they were doing.
They didn't have to.
They didn't have to. Because Quinn Ewers was struggling all night long. He was going to do the same thing, and they were going to take the run game away because Steve Sarkisian wasn't going to give it to Bichon or Roshan. I can't say Hudson Card would have, but I can say it wasn't going to work with Quinn Ewers. I mean, that was pretty clear. And, try something to win the ball game. Give yourself a spark. Make them have to change.
Well, your quarterback doesn't spark me when he comes off the field. I mean, he's just not. I mean, certain guys are the way they're going to be. And as I said, I think once he gets some experience under him, his body language will be a lot different too as he grows older. But my goodness, that game right now, I needed some kind of spark from him, and was like,
he's mopey when we're winning.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. He's the same. That's what I mean.
I'm not saying. If you saw Quinn Ewers playing in high school, that's how he is. That's his body language.
Right.
Even when they were competing for state championships, that's just how his body language is. Can you improve that? Probably. But yeah, I mean, he lacks confidence. He lacks.
Have you seen
awareness.
him? He should be the last couple games you've seen him.
Right, and he's a young quarterback, and these are the struggles we watched. And I don't want to go all the way back to 04, 05, but we saw Vince Young struggle to learn how to play the quarterback position, and there were times where Mac Brown would put Chance Mock in a game and say, let's go win this game, and let's win this game.
Win this game is right. That's what it's about, winning that game on Saturday. You had every opportunity to win that game.
And if that shatters your quarterback's confidence, then he shouldn't be your quarterback.
Probably shouldn't.
You got Arch Manning, who was on the sidelines last night. He'll be rolling in here in January. If he can't handle the fact that, you know what, Quinn, for the good of the team, we're gonna try something different.
We're going to try to actually win a game.
We're going to try something different. That's not, sorry, you had a rough night. You had 3 quarters to try to find this out and figure this out. And clearly, Sonny Dykes and TCU put the game in his hands.
I very seldom see a team just go straight to the ball carrier. If they turn around and hand it off to Bijan or Roshan, they just came. All 3 linebackers, nobody dropped in coverage. They didn't care.
Well, so again, football. For sure, if 3 linebackers are crashing, is the middle of the field wide open? Like wide open.
And after I watched Whittington, I'm thinking the 6 catches, not even close enough to get to him. He needs to probably catch 12 in that game.
So if the middle of the field's wide open because the linebackers are crashing off play action, why are you still throwing it deep down to the safeties? I mean, the middle of the field is where
you threw into double coverage a few times.
And got picked a couple times, or at least once. But that was a frustrating night, no doubt. And I would be remiss to not say props to TCU because that was impressive. That was a tough road environment, 105,000 people, 7-point underdogs came in, and they were the better team clearly in that game, and they move on undefeated 10-0 in Sonny. First Big 12 coach ever, and to be 10-0 in their first season.
It was a wasted defensive effort, a great defensive effort, but still, once again, play complimentary football, and you still can't give up 138 yards to that running back, and you can't give up the guy who can threaten you the most. You can't have him wide open. I don't care if you get confused back there. We've seen confusion before. That can't get confused. He's the guy who can't catch the touchdown pass.
How many sacks do they have? That had to be the most sacks they've had in the last 2 years.
Texas? Well, that's the
5
thing.
or 6, I got to believe.
Say what you want about Kendrick. I mean, 2 guys that they played tremendous defense minus 2 plays, which I think against the explosive offense is not. I mean, this team had 5 sacks, 14 tackles for loss. They lived in the backfield. They dominated the line of scrimmage. You could tell Gary Patterson had his fingerprints all over this with PK. And they wanted this game. Their defense gave them every chance to win this ball game.
There's no doubt.
And Steve Sarkisian and the offense failed. I mean, they failed big time in a big spot. There's no other way to put that. And I'll give Sark credit. I mean, I watched the postgame show. He admitted it several times. This was on him. And he even said, I need to go back to Tuesday where we installed a bad game plan, clearly, that they knew was coming and it was predictable, and we never adjusted to it. And right now he really doesn't have a quarterback that can adjust on the fly to it. That's another problem with the young QB. So we'll go through the TCU postmortem for Texas. They fall 17-10. TCU advances. We'll get into the Cowboys. That's going to be even more fun for you Cowboy fans, as a game that looked to be in control, 28-14. Aaron Rodgers does it again to the Dallas Cowboys. We'll dive into a wild Sunday in the National Football League as well. Craig Way has his report coming up. Some facts of the day. It's a Monday, and we're just getting warmed up. Grab your umbrella. Going to be a rainy one. It's B&E on the Horn.
Folks, Tony C's Pizza and Beer Garden serving New York-style authentic Ciola family Italian food, of course. And few things go together better than New York-style pizza and ice-cold craft beer. And 30 beers on tap, of course, right there. And wall-to-wall TVs at Tony C's. Tony C's Pizza and Beer Garden, best place to catch all your football watching. Of course, the Longhorn, the SEC Network, and as well as the NFL Sunday Ticket. Every game all season long at Tony C's Pizza and Beer Garden, where the atmosphere is nothing but fun. Tony C's Pizza and Beer Garden now open for lunch and dinner in Round Rock at the Dell Diamond, of course, and at Anderson Lane right near Shoal Creek. Join me, and I'll join you at Tony C's Pizza and Beer Garden.
It's Bucky and Aaron.
B&E with you on this Monday morning. It'll be a Blue Monday for Cowboy fans, Longhorn fans. Baylor Bears. How about that? They got flattened.
Ooh.
How about Baylor?
Aggies.
After a 3-game win streak, Baylor, kind of like Texas, looked like things
No
were
offense.
turning.
They get no offense going.
31-3 at home, they got beat by K-State. And how do you figure the Big 12? Think about this. Texas, that K-State team, right? They waylay. Texas loses in Stillwater. Oklahoma State then goes to K-State, gets waylaid by K-State by the Wildcats, 48-0. Texas goes in there and beats them. Turns around, come here and lay an egg to TCU. Meanwhile, they go to Baylor and smash the Baylor Bears. It's a week-to-week proposition in the Big 12 Conference. There is no doubt. But because of that Baylor loss, Buck, as bad as it was on Saturday, the Longhorns can still make the Big 12 title game. They can. If they win out, there's an easy, pretty simple scenario by which they're playing again against TCU, who has clinched a spot in that game in early December in Arlington. The Longhorns can still get themselves there, despite how bad it looked on Saturday night on the offensive side of the ball. Defense deserved better. What do we say about the Cowboys yesterday? We'll get back to the Longhorns, by the way, and we will hear from Steve Sarkisian coming up, his post-game comments after a 3-point offensive night for his football team, under 200 total yards.
Yeah, I thought
in the game.
I thought the Cowboys, when they got up 14, that was it. And I thought they were moving the ball well. Pollard was running. Then they quit giving it to Pollard. They quit running the ball. They get a couple nice runs on first down. They get they get 2nd and 3 or something like that. And then they had to let Dak throw the ball. I'm like, why? Why? You can run it twice in a row. But Pollard, I thought he was having a good game.
I told y'all what was going to happen.
Yeah,
you did.
You warned
you
us
did.
about it. Aaron Rodgers got a thumb hurts. He's all banged up. He's got no receivers.
Got a 14-point lead. And then a guy in the game who drops 2 balls ends up catching 3 touchdowns.
I will say this. I think the Cowboys lost the game in the first half of the game because the 2 picks, whether it was Dak's fault
or the receivers are going
running
the
wrong
right.
route.
That one in the end zone was Dak's fault.
Well, consider it was 14-14 at the half, and Aaron Rodgers had thrown 6 passes. It shouldn't have been 14-14. It should have been 28-0. The Cowboys with 2 critical turnovers from Dak Prescott, whether it was his decision, his bad throw, or bad routes by his receivers. Either way, that took points off the board in a game that could have been very one-sided. First quarter was kind of a stalemate, but then the Cowboys dominated the second quarter. But you end up at halftime at 14-all in a game that should have been much more in command. Then you take back over in the third quarter, go up 28-14, and then you go to sleep offensively, as you said, and you let Aaron Rodgers do what Aaron Rodgers does. He finally had a young receiver break out, and that was Christian Watson, their high second-round pick that they took, is finally growing up, and he shredded the Cowboys secondary for 3 touchdowns, 2 in the fourth quarter. And yeah, Aaron Rodgers, something about that star on the helmet, something about Mike McCarthy on the other side. He was not going to go easily. And the Cowboys will be criticizing Mike McCarthy for not kicking a field goal late, going forward on 4th down. I don't have a problem with not bringing out Brett Maher to kick a 52-yard field goal in the cold. I was actually listening because we had a great event out in Leander yesterday at a great spot I'll tell you about coming up. That was just phenomenal for the first half. But driving home, listening, I kept hearing the Brad Sham and even what's her name, Christy Scales on the sidelines talking about how the ball's just not carrying off the kicker's feet. Brett Maher all year to this game had only 2 kickoffs returned on him because everything was a touchback.
Mm-hmm.
In this game, they were all returned because the ball just wasn't carrying as normal, and the compression, it was very cold in Green Bay. No wind, though. But so people wanted him to try to kick a 54 or 53-yard field goal at 28-all. Instead, they went for it on 4th and 3.5 or 4. I just didn't like the play call. I didn't like the play call at all on that to try to – you end up, Dak's having to scramble up in the pocket, tries to fling it over to Tony Pollard.
I'd say just give me one receiver that I'm going at who's not number 85.
That was the play before where Jair Alexander clearly pass interference.
Yeah, they didn't get the pass interference call.
That's right.
That was a bad call. Bad no call.
And it was an emotional call for McCarthy going on 4th down because he was just pissed off about the no call. And then, you saw him throw his headset.
Seemed like it was an emotional call, didn't it?
Oh.
But I didn't mind the call at the time, but at the same time, I didn't like the play call. And you're right. Was the anger from the no pass interference call, which it clearly was. He was tackled. But, that's at that point, you're either going to punt or you're going to try to kick a long field goal, which I wasn't for, even though Maher's been good this year based on the way the ball was carrying.
No, that ball just didn't look right.
At that point, you have to
extra points were hard looking.
At that point, I think a better play there. But either way, give the Packers credit because they went down the field. Mason Crosby,
That saved their season right there.
Yeah, well, I don't know what their season is because the Vikings are running away with that division, and it's going to be tough to make a wild card. But, yeah, I mean, still a lot of football to be played because the NFL, much like the Big 12, is upside down. I mean, it's upside down. The Eagles are going to play tonight on Monday Night Football. Giants win again. They beat the miserable Texans. They're 7-2 now. Saquon Barkley had a big game. And that loss for the Cowboys is critical. They're 6-3 now, Buck. And they have to go to Minnesota this week to play the Vikings, who won what is easily the game of the year so far in the NFL yesterday.
That was awesome.
I mean, that game was just unbelievable.
That's why you never give up. That's why you never let a guy go in for a touchdown. I mean, they were dropping balls, quarterback,
that game,
center exchange.
I'm roller coaster
really?
of a game. Well, it looked like the Bills were going to run away with the game. I mean, they were up 27-10. They were walloping Minnesota. Kirk Cousins was not playing well in the first half. Josh Allen, who we weren't sure was going to play or not, all of a sudden he's playing.
They're making great catches. They're making great plays all over the place.
Stephon Diggs and company. And then, of course, the Vikings take over the game in the second half. Dalvin Cook broke out on a big 81-yard touchdown run to get him back in the game. And you know, if you're in Buffalo right now, you're looking at Josh Allen saying, you're the MVP. You turned the ball over 3 times in the fourth quarter in overtime. I mean, the fumble from the goal line after you stopped him, I mean, that can't happen.
No.
That cannot happen. If you miss that, I mean, obviously the Vikings well, think about this. The Vikings get a touchdown that looks like it's going to make it a 3-point game, but their kicker misses the extra point. So now they're down 4. So now they don't need a field goal to tie it. They need a touchdown. And they get down to the 1-yard line trying to win the game. Kirk Cousins draws the defensive line off sides, so they have a free play. Kirk Cousins rolls to his right and throws it to a wide-open Dalvin Cook in the flat, who dropped the ball. He just dropped the ball, Buck. I mean, he's one of the best running backs in this league. Hits him in the number 4, and it drops to the ground.
He wasn't going anywhere. That
was going to be a touchdown, and that would have won the game. Okay, so now you're the Vikings. Oh, we just blew a chance. Well, now we have a 4th down play, and they have to go for it. They run a quarterback sneak that doesn't get there, doesn't get in. So now the game's over, right? Because all Josh Allen's going to do.
Jumping on the couch. He's in.
Then all Josh Allen's going to do is
run the clock out. Nope.
He fumbles the snap. And they recover the ball on the 1-yard line.
In the end zone.
In the end zone for a touchdown.
Yeah.
Crazy. So now they're leading, but still with 34 seconds left, Josh Allen leads them down the field to kick a game-tying field goal. By the way, I should mention that on the drive to try to win the ball game, Justin Jefferson made the catch of all time. You'll see it over and over again if you haven't seen it already. A one-handed catch, but not just one-handed, with one hand fully extended about 10 feet in the air.
He's right-handed, and he's going from the left side across to the right side, and he still catches it with his right hand.
And he takes it away from a defender who has 2 hands on it or is about to catch it, and he controls it all the way to the ground. And here's what made that catch even maybe the greatest catch we'll ever see. It was 4th and 18. It was 4th and 18. It was a prayer. It was a Hail Mary throw. Kirk Cousins just said, okay, here, let's throw it up to the best player on our team and see if he can make a play. He made it. And you still went on and you win the game. And the fact that catch, because if he doesn't catch that ball, the game's going to be over.
Right.
In almost all certainty. He does catch it. They go on, win the ball game, and the Vikings are 8-1. And guess who they play next week? The Cowboys in Minnesota. Who now, you know, I don't want to say the Cowboys can't win that game, but if you don't win that game, you're now 6-4. And you're putting yourself deeper behind in a division.
The Eagles and the Giants.
The Eagles and the Giants are ahead of you. So, you know, you do like it for the Cowboys that after that Minnesota game, well, by the way, after you play Minnesota, then you have to play the New York Giants on Thanksgiving. So it doesn't get any easier here for the Cowboys the next 2 weeks. That was a critical loss for them to blow that 14-point fourth quarter lead. That's bad. That was a bad deal because, beyond it, you're playing the Vikings and then the Giants. 2 teams, one is 8-1, one is 7-2. Your next 2 opponents, and that's one that got away for the Dallas Cowboys. So we'll take your thoughts on the day in the NFL. Colt McCoy, how about him getting the start for Kyler Murray, who's out with a hamstring, and Colt leads them to a victory, 27-17. By the way, for the Rams, looks like Cooper Kupp, not good.
No.
Ankle injury, probably out for a while, and they're a 3-win team, and the defending Super Bowl champions are not going to the playoffs.
I don't think so.
That's a bad-looking deal. Jeff Saturday gets a win.
They run the ball because they ran the ball.
Well, they put Matt Ryan back in, and they got Jonathan Taylor back to play running back, and it helps. And you're playing Josh McDaniel and the Raiders. I mean, is that more of an indictment on Josh McDaniel than anything? This loss to a first-time head coach who just took over the job
this week
could be a fireable offense in Vegas. I'm telling you, that Vegas Raiders were a playoff team a year ago. They just lost to a first-time head coach. And by the way, coming up in our coaches,
Sort of like the Aggies did.
oh, don't what
Interim head coach.
you had to say
Cadillac
Aggies
Williams.
in the first hour.
Cadillac Williams
The
comes in there.
Cadillac ran him over.
That guy came in off the bench.
Jimbo Fisher's trying to get that check cut to him.
I'm telling you, he wants that check.
He wants 90
out.
mil.
Yes.
I'm assuming that Jimbo
He
Fisher
wants to become a rancher.
when his agent came out of the negotiating room with the ski mask on his face and said, "Guess what? I just got you a $90 million buyout."
Head back to the ranch.
I think the plan was on. Let's see what we have to do to get that check cut.
Guys, you're just trying
I'm
to
ready
win.
to retire.
You're just trying to win the game. Sark, you're just trying to win. You're not trying to make your quarterback feel great for the future. Just win the game. Your defense is, about playing, spinning on their heads. The man defense was fantastic Saturday. I still wasn't happy about giving up 138 yards to that running back, and I'll say this.
I know you're going to say the long runs count, but I thought they did a great job. They do matter, but in the end, you did your job and stopped the run game. The kid had.
But he had still more yards than Bijan had even after that long run.
Bijan never got the ball. Bijan never got the ball. But Kendre Miller had 20 carries for 60 yards. He had 1 carry for 75. For Texas and their defense, which has struggled, you're giving up big plays this year at times. I give them credit because for 20,
they gave up 2
for 20 carries and 60 yards for a majority of the day. I thought again, you gave your team every chance to win the game. That's what when you're playing complimentary football.
I'm trying to win this game. Just give me one more play. Give me one more defensive play. Please just don't let the guy get wide ass open in the end zone. Not that guy. He can't be the one. The other guy can get open.
Well, look, human beings play the game, and they made a mistake there. They miscommunicated. One set him free. One thought he had coverage, and you can't let that happen. But again,
human beings drop the ball when they hit them in the hands.
Yeah,
but you know what? Guess what their job is? If the ball hits you in the hands, catch the ball.
But I'm gonna have a hard time this morning talking about the defense.
Oh well, no. I'm just talking about plays in the game. I'm trying to win the game. I'm telling my defense, you played great. I'm not the coach that's going to say to my guys, you played great all night long. I'm going to be the guy that said, you played great, but see that guy that's wide ass open and we talked about, he can't get wide open.
Yeah, that's 2 blown assignments. There's no question. Your linebacker's got in the wrong gap.
Tuck was in the wrong gap.
Tucker Dorsey.
Yes.
And, what was a tremendous.
But there are other people behind him that could have taken probably better angles. But that kid, I don't think they were catching him anyway.
Well, and Kendre Miller was asked after the game.
Fast.
He said, "Do you think you're the best running back in the Big 12?" And he said, "Yes."
Yeah.
Because Steve Sarkisian decided to take Bijan Robinson out of the game or allow Sonny Dykes and his defense.
You can't allow that. You're right. That's the thing. More than anything,
your best player.
You can't have them. You can't get that guy eliminated in the game. That's up to you. All those magic calls you had against OU, give me some. Give me 2.
Well, you've been figured out, and your quarterback has been figured out. You better have a counter to that at some point because Kansas is going to do the same thing.
Not many defenses will go balls to the wall just to go after your running back and then say that, okay, we're going to go man-to-man in the back.
Well, they were allowing you to shred them through the air, and you were unable to. They were not going to let the run game beat them. All right, let's come back. We'll continue these conversations all morning, good, bad, and ugly on a Monday. First, though, Craig Way. Sharp Vision Modern LASIK, folks. Now is the time. Here at the end of the year, we're approaching right mid-November now. Listen, use that FSA money, that flexible spending account that you've got going. Use that to get yourself corrected with your vision. And they can tell you there with our good friends at Sharp Vision how to save yourself 20 to 40% with that pre-tax money. Really is a great opportunity right now here towards the end of the year. Go in and talk to the great people where they're running a bit of a dynasty right now with Dr. Nicholas Lancaster and the team at Sharp Vision. He has been voted by the Austin American-Statesman readers as the best of the best in the corrective eye surgery LASIK category 3 years in a row now. Doing something right, that's for sure, and I can vouch for it. They're tremendous people. Dr. Nick is great. Again, they're going to make it simple for you, but also how to save some money with that FSA. They've also got procedures starting as low as $495 per eye. They've got guaranteed financing beyond that as well. All you have to do is schedule a free consultation with the best of the best at Sharp Vision, 512-596-2020. That's 512-596-2020. They're online at sharp-vision.com. That's sharp with an E, -vision.com. Sharp Vision Modern LASIK, the official LASIK provider of Austin FC.
It's Bucky and Aaron.
Coming up in our Coach's Corner, we're getting a ton of questions on the text line about why Sark did this or didn't do this. We'll hear from Sark coming up in our Coach's Corner from the post game. We'll also hear from Sark today at 11 o'clock, the Game Week News Conference. Time for some sharp vision, sharp facts from the weekend. It is official now. It is a fact, Buck. The Texas-Kansas game Saturday, 2:30. 2:30 kick, middle of the day from Lawrence, Kansas. That means our pregame coverage will start at 10:30. Kansas, of course, lost to Texas Tech in Lubbock on Saturday. A winnable game for the Longhorns.
Can't keep losing those.
Certainly not.
Not when your defense plays the way they did. The fourth down, was it fourth down that they got in a Wildcat and Rojo was the lead blocker and Bijan was the
that was in the first series.
In the first series. Dude, they blew Rojo up. That linebacker blew him up to get to Bijan.
Well, look, and I will say that it's rare to criticize Bijan, but he took the wrong hole. If he had stayed inside, there was a gap. There was a big gap. He went to the outside, and if he had cut it back in, there was a seam. I mean,
because it wasn't very much for the first down.
No, he pounced outside. That was one to cut back against. They had blocked it pretty well on the backside, and far be it from me. I mean, he's running the ball, but that was one that I would put a little bit on Bijan. Because, yes, Roshan didn't, because they collapsed right where they thought it was going. But a quick cutback, which that guy can do better than anybody, he might have still been running. But that was just the beginning of the disappointment because that was the first drive.
Yeah, that's the one that got. I was like, man, they're going. Well,
and they had the balls
out to the running back.
Well, they took over that ball on the TCU 43. I mean, they great field position. They had a chance to go take the early momentum. But here's the problem: you realize on a sharp vision, sharp facts fact of the day. The Longhorns' first 9 drives of the game. The longest drive by play was 6. And that 6-play drive only went 15 yards and they punted. Here were the Longhorns' first 9 drives of the game. Downs, that was the one you just mentioned, with Bijan not getting the first. Punt, interception. Punt. They didn't get a field goal until late in the third quarter. This was a game that was lost on Tuesday, in my opinion. Steve Sarkisian installed a game plan. TCU installed a game plan, and theirs was a lot better than Texas's.
Yeah, did you see anything different in the run game?
He never adjusted during the game.
You see anything in the run game that was different than what they've done all season?
Well, it was predictable. TCU had scouted it well.
Okay.
They tried to run that counter that you always talk about.
They did.
It did not work.
You got stopped.
But when you're bringing that many people, again, I'll say it again, they took the Oklahoma State game plan from Stillwater in the second half that limited Texas to 3 points. They just implemented it from the beginning and dared Quinn Ewers to be able to make decisions quickly and push the ball down the field. And
they want to just put it in his hands, period.
Right. Put it in his hands.
And they did.
Right? That's the game plan. Put it in number 3's hands and then identify his primary target and take that away because he will not move on to the next target or the next target or the next target. He'll either hold it or force it to where he shouldn't be throwing it. And this is what we saw all night. It's what we saw in the second half in Stillwater. It's frustrating. And
it's not taking advantage of a great running back because if you think your running back room has a bunch of guys like that in it, you're wrong. You don't. You don't have a running back room filled with Bijan Robinson. You just don't. And the other guy is Jay Witt. I mean, this is his healthiest. And that guy is like a running back when he catches.
After those 9 drives, you went on 2 nice drives, a 12-play drive and a 9-play drive, and most of it was Jay Witt. You finally took you all the way to the end of the game to figure out, hey, they're collapsing their linebackers and just crashing our run. Yeah. Well, or throw it out to 4 and let him play in space on the outside. Get it out of because at this point, my quarterback doesn't have to make a decision. We can just throw it out there with a quick game, let 4 do his thing, and that's where he got his 6 catches and 80 yards was mostly in those last 2 drives that didn't end in points because one of them ended in a field goal, the other ended on downs. But frustrating for the Longhorns. Also frustrating for the Cowboys. How about a sharp fact here? This is not good. Entering yesterday's fourth quarter, in Mike McCarthy's return to Lambeau Field, the Dallas Cowboys all-time were 180-0. When leading by 14 points through 3 quarters.
And
180-0. And including playoffs, Cowboys with a 14-point lead in the final quarter were 195-0 all time. They're now 195-1.
Oh.
Sorry, Aaron Rodgers. Sorry, Cowboys fans. That hurts. And as we said, that loss, blowing that lead, letting Aaron Rodgers do that to you again, guess what? You've got
letting that rookie who dropped 3 during the course of that game anyway.
You got Vikings, Giants back-to-back now. 1 on the road, 1 at home. That's a problem because you're sitting at 6-4 now. If you're not careful, you can be 6-6 real quick. It doesn't mean they can't go beat the Vikings and beat the Giants on Thanksgiving Day, but That was a tough loss to take right there. All right, we're back. We will continue these conversations on a good, bad, and ugly Monday. A lot of bad. Some ugly, too. And the rain's going to be ugly today, too. Get your umbrella. Supposed to rain all day today, starting about 7 o'clock, right about now. We'll be back. Coach's Corner coming. B&E on the Horn.
Folks, Jaguar Land Rover of Austin, when is the best time to head over there? How about today? No hassles, not going to be time-consuming. Of course, it's a unique car buying experience that you deserve. And Don Snell Sr. has been doing it since 1973. And the Snell Motor Company believe it is a privilege to be the provider of all of your automotive needs. 6 service advisors await you to help you with your decision, of course. There's the best GM in the business, Damon Spears, of course. And while you're there, do get an opportunity, folks. They are the 9-time Pinnacle Award winners for overall performance in the automotive industry. Do get a chance to test drive the Discovery Sports, the Range Rover, the F-Pace Jaguar, or the Defender. The 2021 SUV of the Year awaits you there. If you're interested in employment, give them a call today at 512-236-0000. There are availabilities at every level. Folks, come experience the team at Jaguar Land Rover of Austin. Jaguar, no ordinary cat, no ordinary car, and, of course, Land Rover, above and beyond, 1515 5th Street, Austin, Texas.
Start up your Monday right here on B&E. May want to avoid the area in and around the airport. Pretty severe accident overnight in that area. Fatality wreck. So if you're headed that way, be advised. Don Miller will keep you posted. Also, the rain's about to begin, and light rain, and then maybe a little heavier throughout the day today. We need it, but could make driving conditions a little rougher. A little rougher than Longhorn fans, Cowboy fans this morning. Golly. Blue Monday, as we call it, when seemingly everybody in the burg here.
And if you took my picks, you're gloomy too.
Yeah, gloomy on that.
Tulane, Baylor.
Oh yeah, your three-team trifecta was a dud.
It certainly was.
The Green Wave got smoked by UCF.
Baylor got. They played
destroyed.
the same offense Texas played.
And
the Cowboys.
The Big 12 is so weird, man. It felt like Texas and Baylor were kind of on a nice little trajectory, and both got beat. TCU proved they're the best team in this conference, without a doubt, maybe one of the best teams in the country, with a veteran group, and Sonny Dykes is doing a hell of a job. But, man, a lot of gloom. Aggie fans have no answer.
Well, I thought they would frustrate Max Duggan. I thought they were going to frustrate him to all. I mean, they must have sacked him 5 times.
5 sacks, 14 tackles for loss for Texas, and they lost this game. Inexcusable. I mean, really, your defense plays that well. 14 tackles for loss. 5 sacks.
Yeah, 5 sacks.
A quarterback who was in the Heisman discussion before the game, 19 completions, 124 yards, and a touchdown, got sacked 5 times.
And you took your own running back out of the Heisman discussion with 29 yards.
I mean, ridiculous. Do I have to say it again, that in a 3-0 game in the second half, Rojo and Bijan combined to carry the ball 6 times for 4 yards?
You did exactly what they wanted you to do.
You let the opposing head coach snatch your best player and take him away from you. And you had no counter. I mean, that's, going in, you've got a freshman quarterback, and they're probably going to try to force it into his hands. And you didn't have a prep for that. I mean, you really didn't have when they do that, because they're going to do that, here's what we're going to do, to not let them take our best player away. And credit to Texas, because they took their best player away for most of the night. 2 plays, really the difference offensively for them, a 75-yard touchdown run, and then the touchdown pass down the field to Quentin Johnston when he blew the coverage. Texas blew the back end. Other than that, played great. So TCU, though, the more veteran team, the better coach team, they're on their way to potentially they're going to the Big 12 championship game for sure, because they clinched the berth. And they have an opportunity now to put themselves into the Final Four because there are 4 undefeated teams, right? I mean, you're looking at Georgia, number 1. They've got, kind of a big matchup this weekend with Kentucky. Kentucky lost at home to Vanderbilt this weekend. That game's not going to be close.
Georgia's not playing around.
Well, Georgia's likely going to play LSU in the SEC championship game. LSU, Brian Kelly.
Year 1,
doing a great job. And the one thing I'm watching.
How about the Fighting Mac Browns? 9-1.
Hello, with a redshirt freshman quarterback, Drake May, who's playing great. The ACC is so weak. Clemson, Notre Dame beat NC. Notre Dame beat Syracuse. They beat Clemson, but Notre Dame, barely beat Navy on Saturday. So,
that was another one I gave y'all.
But it's huge credit to Mac Brown because
just thank me.
What, Notre Dame?
Oh, Notre Dame over Navy.
Hey, they were up like 24 at halftime.
Oh, it was
I know.
yeah. They had a big lead.
I think
at
they
halftime.
scored 3 points in the second half.
They're crazy. Well, I mean, that's the one thing I'll say for college football. We still have time, lot to play, but in a couple of weeks, Ohio State's going to play Michigan. If Ohio State beats Michigan, I know they lost to them last year, but if Ohio State were to beat Michigan, it was somewhat one-sided, and they have the capability of doing that in Columbus with C.J. Stroud if they get healthy. Michigan hasn't beaten anybody this whole year.
No.
They're not. If they lose to the Buckeyes, they're not going to have an argument, oh, we still should be in the Final Four. So at that point, Ohio State's in, Georgia's in, TCU would be in.
Yes.
Then who's the fourth team? That's where it gets really, really interesting. And that's where a team like LSU could make an argument. Tennessee, obviously, with the wins that they put on the board. Oregon. Oh, sorry, Oregon.
Oh,
you gave us that one, too.
Slip on fourth down. Oh, he went down.
How about that coaching malfeasance in Oregon in the Washington game? What are we doing going for it on fourth down? What are you doing, Coach?
Oh, my gosh.
But, that's where we sit right now with a couple weeks to play in the regular season.
Well, there goes my 9-3 season. I'm out.
I picked 8-4. They can still get there.
There you go. You're right. You're right.
I picked 8-4, and that's part of.
I think most people did pick 8-4.
Well, and that will be with all the criticism that's going to come this morning and
Sure.
the vitriol. What'd you pick at the start of the year?
Yes.
I picked 8-4.
I picked 9-3.
They still have a good look at 8-4.
They have no look
so,
at 9-3.
But what we saw Saturday, frustrating, because I think the game was that. To me, that's the frustrating part, that the head coach is allowing, for whatever reason, being stubborn with the quarterback. And I'm not putting this all on Quinn Ewers. I think he's a young quarterback who is learning his way, and teams are going to take advantage of that. But the head coach needs to win the game. This is where I'll go back to Mac Brown. I don't care what kind of schedule they're playing. They're winning ball games. They're 9-1.
I'm trying to win games here.
Yeah, we're trying to win ball games.
Yeah, I just didn't. I mean, I just felt for the first time that, yes, you need to change the quarterback because you need to win the game. It's not about give him more experience. It's not about coming in on Monday saying, well, he just needs more experience at quarterback. It's about winning the game.
Yeah.
Your defense is playing like lights out. You've got to win that game.
And would Hudson Card have guaranteed you a win? No, but he would have.
They'd had to change up some things.
TCU would have had to change what they were doing. They'd had to adjust to what you're up to. This wasn't a game where you needed a huge comeback. You needed a drive. You needed a touchdown or two, and you win this ball game. And they never had that opportunity.
You're good at kicking field goals.
Another learning experience.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's where Sark's got to. And if that's what it is, right? I mean, I know that there were 25 or more 4 or 5-star recruits on the sidelines, including Arch Manning. Does this hurt that, or is this just part of the deal?
No, this makes Arch Manning's eyes light up.
Yeah. Well, and that's so the future of the program's still bright as far as talent, but it's some, as you say, the talent can overcome the coaching because
that's just keep bringing in the talent. Eventually, it outweigh the coaching,
and that flips back to Sonny Dykes
because you brought in a wide receiver coach who has guys that can't catch a football when it hits them in the hands.
Let's get to the headlines, the trending topics of this busy Monday morning. Get you caught up, then we'll dive into that Coach's Corner here from Sark. UBO Business Services brings it to you. College football, the up-and-down 2022 season for the Longhorns continued. Saturday night, a humbling 17-10 loss to TCU at DKR. They have once again dropped out of the top 25 rankings. That previously potent Texas offense smothered for 4 quarters by the previously pedestrian TCU defense. First-year head coach Sonny Dykes and his Frogs held the Horns to 3 offensive points, just 199 total yards for a frustrated Steve Sarkisian.
Offensively, we never got into rhythm. We just could not find rhythm. The run game was really difficult. The pass game was difficult, and I wish it was easier to say it was this one thing that didn't go tonight. Man, it felt like we took turns across the board of just unforced errors, and ultimately that's on me. We got to find a way to give our players the confidence to go out and execute and to play the quality of football that they're capable of playing, and that didn't happen tonight.
In the NFL, equally disappointing Sunday for Cowboys fans, even mired in his worst season ever. Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers found a way to once again sting the Dallas Cowboys. He did it with 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns. Packers were down 28-14 in the fourth. He throws a pair of TD strikes to his rookie receiver, Christian Watson. He then led a 55-yard drive in overtime to set up Georgetown's Mason Crosby for a game-winning 28-yard field goal. Packers put an end to their 5-game losing skid, 31-28 over their former head coach Mike McCarthy. Cowboys fall to 6-3. Next up for Dallas, a trip to Minnesota to face the now 8-1 Vikings. Vikings rallied from 17 down to shock the Bills yesterday in Buffalo, 33-30. Easily the game of the year so far in the National Football League. Bills now in 3rd place, if you can believe that, in the AFC East. They're behind the surprising Jets and the now 7-3 Miami Dolphins, who rolled Cleveland yesterday, 39-17, another 3-touchdown game for Tua. Tagovailoa. Other Week 10 highlights, Patrick Mahomes, 4 TD passes to lead the now 7-2 Chiefs past Jacksonville. New Colts head coach Jeff Saturday, a winner in his debut. They've won in Vegas 25-20. Lifetime Longhorn Colt McCoy got the start in Arizona yesterday, led the Cardinals to a 27-17 win over the Rams. Rams fear they have lost Cooper Kupp for a significant amount of time as well with an ankle injury. And Sunday Night Football, San Francisco, the Niners pitch a second-half shutout, beat the LA Chargers 22-16. Tonight, Monday Night Football to put a wrap on Week 10. The Eagles will host the Washington football team, of course, the undefeated Philadelphia Eagles. In the NBA yesterday, all 3 Texas teams had the day off. In golf, how about Memorial Park down in Houston? Tony Finau, final round 69, cruises to a 4-stroke win at the Houston Open. 33-year-old Finau won just once in his first 185 tournaments on the tour. He's now won 4 of his last 30, including 3 this year.
You know, one thing that they can't continue to let Quinn Ewers do is throw the ball with his feet not set.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so amazed that hadn't gotten improved. I don't know if it's something he reverts to.
I think that's disappointing. That's on the head coach. He's a quarterback
and
himself.
The quarterback's coach.
And you can say, well, there's no time to do it. You know, you're in the middle of the season. That's bullcrap. That's every day. That's everyday stuff for him. That should be his footwork. He had some time. I mean, he got a little bit of pressure, but he had time to set himself and throw a couple of those balls. That whole arm thing where he thinks his arm is strong, it's not it. He plays the position where you have to be fundamentally sound with your feet. There's a handful of guys can do those things like Aaron Rodgers, and they keep comparing this kid to Jeff George. First of all, Jeff George is about 6'4" and 220-some pounds. And when he did it with his arm, there was a lot behind it. Quinn Ewers with these little sidearm throws, he's got a nice arm, but man, set yourself where you can throw the ball. I mean, some of those things just flutter. Now,
no, look, is that something that they're working on? He reverts to bad habits in game time that we're not at practice, so we don't know.
Well, I think that's the thing you say.
You have to know they're working on it. I mean,
if he's not doing those simple things as you're telling him to do, that's when you pull him and say, hey, I've been telling you this. We've been going through this for the last 4 or 5 weeks. You're not setting your feet when you have an opportunity to set and throw. Now, you're not doing that. I can't let you go in there because I have to win the game. And I'm not saying Hudson Card comes in there and changes it, but like you said, what it does change that defense some.
Well, sure. This is 2 games now where I think they should have made a change at quarterback to at least spark the offense.
To win the football game.
To give yourself a better chance because you weren't winning with the guy that was out there in my mind. And that's just a young quarterback, but sometimes you got to put his ego aside and go win a ball game or try to win a ball game. Hey, let's dive into our Coach's Corner. It's brought to you by Audio Visual Consultations. Okay, so real quick, AV Consultations, want to thank our friends out at the Field House at the Crossover. That was fun yesterday with our friends at Bud Light, Rob Dabers and I.
Nice afternoon, too, wasn't it?
Oh, well, the clouds rolled in and it got a little chilly, but, man, they have fire. That place is unbelievable. My buddy Charles Milligan, big part of that out there in Cedar Park, Leander. It's right across from the HEB Center, so you can cross the freeway there, the tollway. It is an unbelievable place, man. You want to play pickleball, play volleyball, sit at a fire pit, and they have this huge screen on this stage. You can see the Cowboys game from everywhere. They got drinks, they got food. It was fun. Good time out there. Field House at the Crossover. Highly recommend. Go say hi to my buddy Charles, and you'll love that spot. If you got kids, it's like a football watching paradise because you can watch games and have a Bud Light, and then your kids can just have a blast, and they'll go home worn out. It's just the way that's going to be. Hey, Buck, but and thanks to our friends at Bud Light and Brown Distributing for that too. A lot of texts about more touches for Bijan and Roschon. Let me just say this on that. I agree, but this is the issue. You realize until the 8-minute mark past midway point of the third quarter, the Longhorn offense had run a grand total of 36 plays. 36 plays, past midway through the third quarter. So it's hard to get touches when you're not getting plays, when you can't even get first downs, which they couldn't. The drives for Texas, first 9, 4 plays, 3 plays, 3 plays, 5 plays, 2, 6, 4, 5, 4. They didn't keep the ball. So, yes, the touch number is going to be real low for your running backs.
Yeah,
the touch numbers for everybody.
By the way, they couldn't bust a grape on the offensive line on Saturday.
Well, and they played poorly. And as we've said, TCU sold out to stop it. They were collapsing their linebackers.
You as a coach have to have something to do. If their linebackers are vacating, then somebody's got to go across the middle where you can throw them the ball.
It's a numbers game. There's nobody back there. And you can't find a way to scheme that. Or your quarterback with tunnel vision can't. And that's, by the way, once they had 36 plays through the midway through the third, they went on a 12-play drive. What'd they do? They started going to the outside in the quick game with Jordan Whittington. Took a long time to get there, but they finally did. The next drive went for 9 plays, and they actually moved the football. Now, that reverted, then the red zone became a nightmare for them. They were terrible inside the 10. They mean the deep red zone.
Was there one that they were inside where they were at the 4 or 5 yard line,
Sure.
and they threw it every single time? They didn't even run the ball once.
Oh, yeah, they threw a great crossing, slant route to Jashavion Sanders. He caught it down to the 4 yard line, and they tried to go tempo. Let's hear Steve Sarkisian after the game. This was his, when he stepped to the mic. This is what he thought about a 17-10 loss on prime time. The eyes of the college football world watching TCU improve to 10-0 and dominate the Horns. Here, Sark.
We didn't play good enough to win the game. I mean, that's pretty easy to see. But before I get into the issues, I'd like to highlight a couple of things we did do well. I thought defensively definitely gave us a chance to win the football game. Tackles for losses, sacks, poor field position, getting stops. Thought Jahdae Barron had a heck of a game, continued to battle, made plays, TFLs, big fumble recovery. Barron Sorrell, heck of a game. DeMarvion, Ryan Watts. I mean, a lot of guys played really good on the defensive side of the ball. Plenty good enough for us to win. Offensively, zero rhythm in the game. We could not get out of our own way, which is extremely frustrating. Clearly did not see this coming. Thought we practiced really well. Thought we were prepared. Thought we understood the plan. But for one reason or not, we kind of took turns just not executing. And the reality of it is that's on me because I have to make sure that I'm putting the players in position to where they feel confident enough to go make plays. And clearly tonight we didn't do it. We got.
Yeah, and there comes to that part where they just can't,
Computer froze.
You don't have to be throwing them bombs. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't know. I mean, because a lot of people say if your O-line can't block, doesn't matter. Well, okay, the O-line had a poor game. That by far their worst game. But
yes,
you have to give credit to TCU for that. By the way, TCU's offensive line played their worst game because the Longhorns bum rushed them. I mean, just bully balled them. But in this case, if you have 5 guys and they're bringing 7 on most run plays, run blitzes, and sometimes 8, that's a problem. They were collapsing the line of scrimmage. They were not going to let the running game stop them.
They sold out.
And if Quinn Ewers rose up and played a great game and beat him with the passing game, then I think Sonny Dykes was willing to allow that. They were not going to let 5 and 2 go crazy.
Hell, all they had to do is watch film of Quinn Ewers over the last couple of weeks. And they said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to put that ball in his hands.
Agreed. And he did not have a strong game. I mean, he had 22 incompletions. They were 1 for 13 on third down. He threw an interception. It just, the tunnel vision is there. And as we said earlier, if he doesn't see Bijan Robinson on a wheel route where he's wide open.
Where it's on his side.
It's the side you're looking at. If you don't see that, I mean, what do you mean? I know things happen fast. You're flying the jet, but at the same time,
the dude fell down at the line of scrimmage.
And it's right over top of the guy you're throwing to. You don't see him breaking free. That means you're looking. It's like you're looking through a.
Like they told you here's your first deal, and you're looking at your first deal, but you never look at your second.
Taking a paper towel roll and looking through it. That's kind of how he's seeing the field right now. He's only seeing one thing at a time, which great players, which he could become, see the whole field. They see the big picture, and they can sense what's happening even where they can't see because they know what the defense is doing with coverage. This kid's not there yet. Well, Sonny Dykes knew it, and they.
And the visual of the wide receivers and the quarterbacks looking at each other and waving, "I'm going there" or "I'm going there" is old. That's on the head coach now, or the wide receiver coach and the head coach need to get together and say, "Hey, listen, if you're going the wrong way, please don't wave at my quarterback and point. I'm going this way, and the quarterback doesn't need to be pointing to you. You should have been going there." Well, that's a bad look.
Well, and to Sark's point of taking the blame for not having them prepared. Look, this is whatever you say, and however Sonny Dykes gets credit for the defense that they threw at it. I mean, this is a team that scored 31 points in the first half last week against a pretty good K-State team. K-State hammered Baylor this week, 31-3. They're not bad. And they went up and down the field on that team. So they've played better. They did not play good in all phases. I don't think they installed a great game plan. They didn't execute it, and it's huge credit to a team in TCU.
Well, their plans are there. What their capabilities are, like you said, 8-4. They have 2 games that they can win. They also have 2 games that they can lose.
Yeah. And TCU's playing like a veteran team, which they are, with a chip on their shoulder for something to play for. And and no matter what you think about their quarterback, he still makes big plays. He made one. He made one in that game. He also almost blew the game because that fumble they gave Texas a gift touchdown, which will be our Viking fans defensive play of the game coming up.
I'm
But
pretty sure the running back coach and the head coach and the quarterback coach are going, hey, the mesh point, you two clowns. What are you
think
doing?
about that, though. That's where I'll say veteran team with a point. They gave Texas 7 points and made it a one-score game. And they went out and run the ball. They couldn't run the ball in Texas the whole night. But then Texas couldn't stop it. I don't believe if Texas had gotten the ball back that they would have gone down and scored to tie the game. I didn't see anything from their offense that indicated that was going to happen. But that's credit to TCU. They were able to get those first downs and run that clock out. And I think and I'll be rooting for TCU to get to the Final Four because I like what Sonny Dykes is doing, like that team, and feel bad for Gary Patterson and Pete Kwiatkowski because they put forth an incredible game plan. The defensive guys played unbelievable in that game.
The fatties up front played really good on defense too. Coburn and Sweat and those guys.
They've been playing great all year, and they played a high brand. I mean, the hits on Duggan, again, say it out loud, 5 sacks, 14 tackles for loss. They lived in the backfield in this game. They blew 1 run fit, and they blew 1 pass assignment on the night. But again, 17 points to that team that was averaging 46. That's pretty strong. That for a team that might play in the Final Four, that was a step forward defensively for the Texas Longhorns. One other thing I wanted to play here in our Coach's Corner, Buck, and it'll be a conversation moving forward. But the Jeff Saturday conversation, right? We had it a lot last week. His team won the ball game. And I'll say give Jeff Saturday this. I do believe as the previous coach, Frank Reich, was told to start Sam Ehlinger. That they lost 2 games with Sam as quarterback, and Jeff Saturday was allowed to put Matt Ryan back into the game.
Yes.
Who started the game. They also had Jonathan Taylor back, who rushed for 150 yards and had a big run, and they won that ball game 25-20. But I wanted to play Bill Cowher because on the CBS pregame show ahead of the games on Sunday, Bill Cowher kind of has my line of thinking in this Jeff Saturday hire, no whether he wins or not. Here was Bill Cowher's, of course, Hall of Famer, Bill Cowher, his thoughts on the hiring of Jeff Saturday in Indianapolis here in our Coach's Corner.
The assistants on the staff right now, the guys that were there in training camp, the guys that were there early in the morning and late at night, the guys that have gone through the first 6 weeks in that building, don't they deserve the opportunity for an owner to hire a coach who's never been an assistant at the college level or the pro level and overseeing a lot of candidates that are qualified for that job, as we see in Steve Wilkes, an opportunity to build a resume? It's a disgrace to the coaching profession. And regardless how this thing plays out, what happened in Indianapolis is a travesty.
Wow. Bill Cowher, strong. Travesty. Well, they won the game, but at the same time, I do agree with him on that.
Well, you agree with it. We agree with it last week.
Yeah, I mean, but to hear, Bill Cowher is a pretty straight shooter, Hall of Fame coach. I think he's speaking for all coaches who. That's frustrating.
I mean, he is a Hall of Fame player, though. It's not like he doesn't have any playing experience or anything like that. They just pulled him off the street. This is a guy that's been around that
like I said, this has all been set up. This
career.
is set up between the owner of the team and this guy a while back. That didn't just happen, guys.
Sure, but it doesn't make it any less of a travesty.
No.
Ty, you're one of the hardest working guys at this radio station. You're here every day. If a month from now a job comes open and they were to hire someone who's never even been in this building and didn't give you a chance, you'd feel bad.
Yes.
I'd feel bad for you. I mean, you're here every day. Give the kid a chance or give the young guy a chance. But the owner decides, this is my buddy, so I'm going to give him a radio show. Those are the kind of things, it is unfortunate, and it's slap in the face of the guys that are putting in time. But it's,
doesn't mean it's right.
It's still criticizable, without a doubt.
Sure.
And, that to me, that's kind of what the Rooney Rule and all the debate is about. That's the definition of the Good Old Boys Network. I'm going to go bring in one of my good old boys that I know, that I hang out with, that's a good friend of mine, and bypass all of these people who have been putting in the time and the sweat equity to build this organization. It's his team. Do what he wants. But it also is going to keep you open to criticism. All right. Because, Ty, if they hired somebody outside of you, my friend, I'd be very angry because you're my man.
How you like that?
You're like every day of the week.
Your gambling tips.
That's a good analogy. Okay, I understand a little bit more.
There you
Ty's
go.
here every day of the week putting in his time. He's here yesterday. Were you hungover yesterday morning?
Yes.
There you go.
What at the Longhorn game and Bevo Boulevard and Third Eye Blind and everything that went on Saturday. Then you had to watch your Cowboys collapse.
It was not a good weekend.
Brutal. How'd your wallet fare?
He took some of my picks.
Oh,
so he's
no.
a little light in the wallet today, I guarantee you.
Hey, before the end of the hour, it's hot or not coming up. We'll get into that Cowboys-Packers game and the Wild Sunday in the National Football League. How did the Cowboys let Aaron Rodgers do it to him again? Coming next.
It's Bucky and Aaron.
3rd down and 5 for TCU. Back to the ground, and the ball's fumbled. Loose on it, and the ball's still loose. Picked up down the sidelines. Shawnae Barron to the 20. Say goodnight to this one. Barron takes it in. How do you like that? The Longhorns have a touchdown, and they have life with 4:25 remaining in the game.
There's your Viking fans' defensive play of the game. Could have picked any number of plays for the Texas defense with 5 sacks and 14 tackles for loss and a touchdown. Say that again. Texas defense had 5 sacks, 14 tackles for loss, a touchdown scored. Only allowed 17 total points, and they lost the football game by 7 points.
Yeah, that's crazy. In a game that's played so well by both defenses, it's the matter of who's going to make the big plays, and the big plays came from TCU, the long run and the blown assignment. As a matter of fact, and then the defense made the big play for the offense of Texas. They scooped one up for a touchdown. No offensive big plays.
Well, and to be critical of the defense, which is hard to do in this game, for everything just said, you heard Craig Way say it. There were still 4 minutes and 30 seconds to go with a 7-point game, and they
so give me the ball back, please.
They couldn't get the ball back. Now, I don't know that Quinn Ewers was going to take them down to win the ball game. The way
but your job is to get them the ball back.
Yeah, and that's
what I was saying. No matter what, just make a stop one more time. Give me one more stop.
And you stopped them most of the night, and you couldn't get it there. That's disappointing. And that, to me, says a lot about TCU, too, because they didn't panic in that moment.
No.
And they
kept running the ball.
Well, look, I mean, people will say I'm making an excuse for Texas. Texas is a very young football team in key places. Quarterback, offensive line. They've got some young players. Their best unit is their defense as far as experience goes, and they played like it. TCU's experienced on both sides.
Yeah, and their defensive coaches said, we're going to do this. Coach, this is what we're going to do. And Sonny said, yeah, okay, good. Here's what we're going to do.
And Sonny's going to be Coach of the Year in the Big 12, maybe nationally, for what he's done, which is come in and hire a great offensive coordinator in Garrett Riley and install a really dynamic offense that Texas controlled for most of the night, but they made big plays when they needed to. And then, defensively, they've gone to that three flyover safety defense that's been so great in the Big 12. And he's coaching. He's connected with that team. They believe in him. And, you and I knew Spike Dykes very well for a long time. It's hard not to root for Sonny Dykes.
Oh, yeah.
He's a guy who's, he really was given no chance to win at Cal because Cal doesn't support football. He did a great job at SMU while he was there and jumped at the opportunity to coach the Horned Frogs and is taking, really making the most of it. Because Sonny really probably could have had the TCU or the Tech job if he wanted it.
Mm-hmm.
Because of course his dad coached at Texas Tech, but so also, the other guy that Texas Tech was trying to hire was Jeff Traylor. UTSA won again on Saturday. They've clinched another, trip to the Conference USA Championship game down in San Antonio. So UTSA and TCU.
It's just some of this lack of discipline still on this football team. I mean, did they not have any 80 yards of penalties again? I mean, it had to be close to 80 yards. They had a bunch of penalties again.
Well, roughing the punter was critically a real critical moment of the game. Let me see the penalties. The Longhorns had penalty yards. Keep going. Penalty yard. 7 for 74.
74 yards in penalties.
Yeah, and the roughing the punter was the critical one. And we always got to complain about the refs a little bit. I do think that the Jahdae Barron non-call on the holding when Jared Wiley, when he was coming off the edge, remember that was a play where Max Duggan took it around the outside. And he wouldn't have gotten the outside if they call 10-yard holding call, which it should have been. Jared Wiley was even laughing about it on the sidelines, and he got away with that. It was right in front of the official, didn't call it. And again, they went on to score. That was right before the Kendre Miller 75-yard burst, but that would have backed them up to about the 6-yard line. And it would have been, first down and, against the chains. They didn't call it, and Texas defense.
No, Horns are their own worst enemy, especially on the offensive side right now.
Well, they were bad.
I mean, they don't, they sold out for the run, TCU. You didn't have anything in your game plan to say if they did sell out for the run. If the middle of the field is open, what routes do we have that we're going to run with that whole vacant area there?
Hey, Sark, I'm going to say this again because Kansas State didn't do it until the second half.
Right.
But TCU took exactly what Oklahoma State did in the second half in Stillwater to hold Texas to 3 points and make Quinn Ewers look like a problem. And they just said, we'll do it from the beginning. We're going to start why wait? We're going to go ahead and just
take Bijan out of this game, period.
Yes. And he's not beating us. And guess what? Kansas is going to do the same thing. Why wouldn't you? Until Quinn Ewers proves that he can, not just lock into one primary receiver and read a field and get you into a better play and deliver the ball with good fundamentals and accurately down the field, and then his receivers can actually catch it.
When it's thrown to him?
That's going to be the game plan for the next two teams as well, because Kansas, not as good as TCU, obviously, but they're going to –
But they beat you last year.
Silly not to employ the same strategy. All right.
And the killer down the sideline, when Bijan goes down the sideline, that's just – that one hurt everybody. I mean, Ty, as you said, in the stands, I know people had to be calling, there he is. He's at the 2. Nobody's there.
It was the most audible, like, because Jatavion Sanders caught the ball, and I think he got a first down on the play.
Yes. Yeah, that was but that was a touchdown. He was at the 2-yard line, and you could just see him standing there waiting for the ball.
It says, watch the tape. Overshown didn't touch the punter. Well, he doesn't have to touch the punter. The rule is he has to give the punter room to land. He can't be under the punter's legs when he's coming down. He's a defenseless player.
Yeah, you guys need to cut it out with that whole thing about the punting and all that. Guess what? After the second time, stop trying to do it.
Well, that is the rule. It's not about touching him. It's about allowing the player to come down.
And I'm all for blocking punts, but after you've roughed him or
they ran into him the first time.
Yeah, if you ran into him, you're allowed to stop because you're getting the ball back. You're going to get the ball.
That was a big one too. Well, who knows? But that felt like a big play because they went down and got more points. 17-10 final score. TCU gets the win. They're 10-0. Texas is 6-4. Cowboys are 6-3, and they've got a real problem. Here's the problem for the Cowboys, and we knew it going in. They didn't fix it in their bye week. They can't stop the run. They cannot stop the run. They went into Green Bay, and they allowed Aaron Rodgers, A.J. Dillon, and Jones to run for 200 yards on 40 carries.
Yeah, I was getting worried that they were going to – Aaron Rodgers was saying, I'm just going to throw this ball every down because I was worried about A.J. Dillon humping it up there and Jones, and they did.
Well, the
they
kid
came
out
right
of
at
UTEP was really good yesterday. I mean, Aaron Jones was awesome. And look, the Cowboys had a week off to try to fix their run defense and come up with something. And as much credit as we give Dan Quinn, I mean, they gave up 200 yards rushing to a team that passing's a liability for them. This game was, because of 2 Dak Prescott interceptions, this was a 14-14 game at the half with Aaron Rodgers completing 6 passes. 6 passes. And it was 14 all. And then you let them run it down your throat the whole game for 200 yards. Guess what? I like where the Cowboys are, but if you can't stop the run in November or December and into January, you're not going to win. And guess who they play next? Dalvin Cook, Minnesota Vikings. Guess who they play after that? Saquon Barkley and the New York Football Giants. Then it's Jonathan Taylor who's getting healthy for the Indianapolis Colts. I mean, you've got some dudes coming who can run the football. Gosh, even the Texans with the kid Pierce out of Florida, they can run the football. So they better figure that out because teams, it's like we talk about the Longhorns, they're going to keep making Quinn Ewers beat them. Teams in the NFC are going to say, hey, we're not going to let Micah Parsons, that pass rush, go crazy on us. We're going to run it right at you. And can you stop it? The Cowboys have proven to not be able to. And yesterday was a prime example. And, obviously when it mattered most, Aaron Rodgers threw, 2 big touchdown passes, but they came on play action because you were selling out to stop the run, and Aaron Rodgers got single coverage behind it. And
one of the fastest guys on the field.
Yeah, I mean, then fine. You felt like at some point one of these young receivers was going to break out and become, kind of a go-to for Aaron Rodgers. And unfortunately for the Cowboys, it happened yesterday with Christian Watson. But the problem is that they can't stop the run, and you're going to play a really good running team. Dalvin Cook's 81-yard touchdown run yesterday really got them back into the Bills game. He took off, and man, that was a sweet run to the outside, then back cut across the field. Dalvin Cook's as good as there is in this game. Then you've got Saquon Barkley, who's playing to an MVP level on Thanksgiving. And then you get the Indianapolis Colts, who aren't a very good team, but Jonathan Taylor went for $150 last night in their win in Vegas. So better figure that out, or else
absolutely
problems. And guess who's playing tonight? Monday Night Football, Philadelphia, one of the better running teams in this league. And did you see who won last night on Sunday Night Football? This is a problem for the Cowboys. The San Francisco 49ers.
They found their run game. And their guys back from
Christian McCaffrey took it to the house and the game-winning touchdown. But guess what? What was impressive about them last night is a second-half shutout. Their defense is getting healthy. You combine Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, and then that defense.
And the running back that they brought from Louisiana last year, he's back healthy. The guy got hurt in the first game.
Elijah Mitchell.
Yeah, can he go?
Elijah Mitchell's back and healthy. That's why they traded Jeff Wilson. And by the way, Jeff Wilson's playing great for the Dolphins. And the Dolphins are 7-3. And if there's an MVP vote right now in this league, it might be Tua. He threw 3 more touchdowns yesterday. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, no one can cover him. And that's opening up this run game for Miami. Dolphins are scary. When Tua's been healthy and not concussed,
They've won all the games.
They've won all the games, and no one can stop them. They put 40.
Oh, you know what really sucked about this game Saturday is this was a big recruiting weekend, too. You know, there were a bunch of guys at this football game to watch that. I mean, that was –
well,
and that was for the whole nation to see, by the way.
I think there's a bigger plan in place with those guys. They want to come be part of the fix at Texas and follow Arch. But at the same time, yeah, that was disappointing to lay that egg offensively in front of that crowd. And look, nationally, that was a national game.
Oh, yeah, it was. There's no doubt.
Everybody was watching that game, and a lot of people turned it off because it was 3-0 at the half. And it was, what are we doing here? That's no good. But yes, I don't. We'll obviously check in with our recruiting insiders this week of what the impact of that may have been. But if you're a guy like Anthony Hill, the big linebacker at Denton, you had to like seeing that defense.
Oh, for sure.
Getting after it.
Because I'd be thinking, I got a spot.
The only silver lining for Texas, now TCU's probably going to use that as a big recruiting game. Say, hey, guys, you were here. You saw it. You want to come play in Fort Worth. But, Aggies don't have much to sell right now. Sooners don't have much to sell right now. They're a 5-loss team for Brett Venables. The team that has a lot to sell, though, is LSU with Brian Kelly over there east.
The Sooners lose to the Morgantowners?
Yeah, Sooners. What
was that score again, Ty?
23-20.
Yeah.
Sooners, Brett Venables. Natives are restless there. Jimbo Fisher. Oh, my gosh. They lost to Cadillac Williams and Auburn.
Cadillac.
That might have been a worse game to watch, though. That was like 3-0 until the fourth quarter or something like that, third quarter.
It feels like Jimbo Fisher. By the 24/7 talent composite, Texas A&M has the fourth most talent in the country, and they lost to Auburn, and they have no offense.
And they're looking for a coach.
I think Jimbo's trying to get that check cut. I really do.
You do, really?
Yeah.
Well, because he has that clause where he can go somewhere next year and get paid.
And he gets all the money.
Yeah, exactly.
No, his agent again, he was wearing a ski mask. Oh, you want what? $90 million buyout? Okay. And I can coach again? Yes. And I'm still getting the 90? Yep.
Man.
So I could take $90 million and go coach high school football somewhere. All right.
Coach my grandkids somewhere.
Oh, man. And I'm going to put up with these Aggies yelling at me all the time. And Nick Saban. NIL. I'm out. That's good agent work, by the way. That's good agent work. But somebody should be fired for that in the Aggie front office, I got to tell you. We'll be back. B&E with you. We'll take your thoughts there. Hot or not for the top of the hour. We roll on. It's a good, bad, and ugly Monday. Be careful out there. Going to be a slick one and a wet one on this Monday. We need the rain, but could make your commute treacherous wherever you're headed. Be safe. We're coming back with Hot or Not.
Folks, there was a time when my back was so bad I was told that golf was definitely not going to be part of the plan, and I was going to need reconstruction in my thoracic area. Then I met Dr. Dan Peterson, of course, at Austin Neurosurgeons. He's an expert and specializes in spine health. Dr. Dan, of course, is 100% invested in careful, safe, effective, non-invasive procedures focusing on spine health and management of nerve pain due to spinal stenosis and other neurological conditions. Now, I wasn't the best tackler in the world for sure, but he did work for me. And now my golf swing, I can swing. I can say that. I don't know about my numbers, but I do swing that golf club and get into the garden that I wanted to do. Dr. Dan Peterson at Austin Neurosurgeons has been doing this in this Austin area for over 28 years. He's a spine doctor. He's a good friend of mine, compassionate, experienced, and personal, and knows how to get you better and back into the swing of things. So if you're suffering from nerve pain due to spinal stenosis or any other type of neurological conditions, go see Dr. Dan Peterson at Austin Neurosurgeons. You can find him at the Arise Austin Medical Center, 3003 BK's Road, right there in Westlake and Rollingwood. They take all commercial insurances, plus Medicare, TRICARE, and Medicaid. Get more information about Dr. Dan at Austin Neurosurgeons at austonneurosurgeons.com.
This segment brought to you by Altstead Beers, brewed right here in the heart of the Hill Country. Check out their state-of-the-art brewery, tap room, and restaurant next time you're in Fredericksburg. Altstead Beers, no impurities, no regrets.
Hot and not, what a weekend. This is at least us Cowboy fans and Longhorn fans had Yellowstone last night in the season premiere. I have not seen it. I'm going to have to. 2-hour season premiere.
2 hour, yes.
The Duttons. It says, somebody said, Aggies need to take a collection and get rid of Jimbo. Bring in Jeff Traylor. Jeff Traylor to Aggie Land. He's doing a great job at UT San Antonio. It does feel like it was a good fit. Also hot, the three teams we carry here on the Austin Radio Network, high school football-wise, all advanced on Friday, including the Lake Travis game. Buck, what a big win. We'll get into that in our flex segment, but strong performance. Round Rock, unfortunately, had their quarterback get hurt.
Yes,
Mason
and their top wide receiver was out too.
35-10, but so Lake Travis advances to round 2, as did Westlake, Vandergrift, Dripping Springs, LBJ. Georgetown with a huge win. They went down and beat New Braunfels Canyon in a good game. Rouse and Belton, Liberty Hill. Congratulations to all the Regents. all the teams that have advanced to round 2. The Wimberley Texans are undefeated, so we'll get into that heavily in our flex segment at the bottom of the next hour. Also on the hot side, Buck, how about Cameron Dicker? There's something going on in the area here, Central Texas kickers, because I saw Mason Crosby from Georgetown bang one through last night to beat the Cowboys. Packer, that guy's still kicking. Justin Tucker's the best kicker in the league.
Mm-hmm.
I watched the Buccaneers game with the Seahawks in Germany Sunday morning in Munich, and watched Michael Dixon just pinning the. I mean, that guy puts on a clinic.
What a weapon he is!
What a weapon! Even though Tom Brady and company got the win because they found a running game, but then there's Cameron Dicker, right? Now we told you the story last week that Cameron Dicker got signed by the Chargers,
the journeyman,
and he found out that he was getting signed because he was on his way to the Carrie Underwood concert to see Carrie Underwood play at the Moody Center, and he gets the call. And the next thing you know, he's kicking a game-winning field goal to have the Chargers beat the Atlanta Falcons on Thursday Night Football. Or no, that was last Sunday. And so last night, Sunday Night Football, we know Carrie Underwood sings the theme song, the anthem. Well, she had a message for young Cameron Dicker ahead of the game last night. Can we play a little of this, Carrie Underwood?
Oh, yeah.
Here we go.
Hey, Cameron. Carrie Underwood here. A little birdie told me that you were on your way to our show in Austin not too long ago when you got the call to go play for the Chargers. I just wanted to say congratulations and good luck tonight on Sunday Night Football. And I would love to have you out for a makeup concert. Any show you want to come to, just let us know and we'll get you hooked up. I know people. Have a great night. Good luck. Hope to see you soon.
Well, there you go, Carrie. There you go, Cameron Dicker.
I know people, she said.
Can I say on the not hot part, and it's the not hottest thing of the day, not the Texas performance, not the Cowboys' fourth quarter, Steve Sarkisian's suit on game day. We got to burn this thing. I know Sark likes to dress sharp, and he lets his wife L'Oreal do it.
His wife likes to dress him up.
Dude, that's a clown suit, my friend.
What was it?
It's the band director suit. It's a band major.
It's got. Remember the game against Oklahoma at the Cotton Bowl when he wore the racing stripes on the pants?
Yeah, it's that one.
Racing stripes were back on the pants.
Oh man.
It's the one that he needed the big baton, like when the drum major comes out. He had that outfit on.
With the big top hat?
Oh, he didn't wear the hat.
I mean, it's not Joan Rivers over here, and the man can wear whatever he wants.
That's right.
God.
Because we are not fashion plates up in here, for sure. Well, but I'm not bringing on those stripes on my pants.
I mean, you're wearing it because it's...
Unless I'm at the Salvation Army.
You're wearing it because I'm sure your wife's outfit was matching that. I'm sure because you were matching to the game, and game days here. You got to win the ball game. You wear that, win the ball game.
Oh no, you win the game. You can wear that all night long and all day.
Somebody saw somebody tweet that he's got to burn that like Frank Lucas burnt the chinchilla jacket. It's got to be burned.
Oh my!
It's got to be burned. Ty, how you doing, bud? You had a rough weekend. Longhorns lost. Cowboys lost.
I gave some bad
Your
info.
wallet took a hit. What do you have for us?
Well, speaking of money, it looks like some NFL players and some other athletes around the U.S. have lost some money and some cryptocurrency.
Oh no!
FTX.
That was going to make it. That was going to make it.
Yeah. So I mean, I think this happened on like Thursday or Friday. I don't think we touched on it much, but FTX, who is the Miami Heat arena sponsor, you might have seen the commercials with Steph Curry, Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm. They've gone belly up.
Yes, they went from the guys that started the company, Bankman-Fried. He was worth $11 billion, and then within 20 minutes was down to zero.
Money gone.
You mean zero? Like zero? No,
yeah,
like a donut, like a big donut.
And I'm pretty sure he was on a plane to Argentina, and he had his girlfriend or whatever. There's a bunch of weird stuff going on. All the executives at this company were living in a house, having like weird orgies and stuff going on. But it looks like he's gone with a lot of money, like billions of dollars at this point.
Well, this is very Enron-esque. It's a bigger fall than Enron had back in the. You don't even know what that means, Ty.
I've heard.
You're too young for Enron, but it did happen down in Houston and in the world.
So old Tom Brady, Steph Curry might be taking a hit to the wallet like me.
Yeah, they had the
week.
naming rights on the Miami arena there, and they're not going to make those payments. Sorry.
I mean, the name's coming down. Down goes the name.
Well, a lot of these people took, or a lot of these athletes took
Odell
actual
Beckham
coin,
Jr.
the actual FTX coin or
Instead
whatever.
of their real money?
Yes.
Odell Beckham
Instead of their
Jr.
Uncle
was one
Sam's?
of them. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Not good. FTX. Not good. Still not as bad as Sark's suit, though. Got to tell you. What was worse, suit or play calling?
Play calling. I wear that suit all day long if I had to, but that play calling was just, no.
Well.
Suit was bad. The play calling was worse. Just keep recruiting because eventually that talent will outweigh the coaching.
Oh, CB reminded. It was Rod Babers that had the Frank Lucas burn the chinchilla coat tweet. Thank you for reminding me. I know I had read that yesterday, and I saw Rod yesterday hanging out watching the Cowboys game. Good stuff, RB. And Roderick. Hey, can we come back? We'll hit the headlines. We'll hit our flex segment at the bottom of the hour. We'll talk Texas and kind of a Blue Monday conversation about the Longhorns. But how about the Purple Monday for TCU? They're a few wins away from playing for a national championship. We'll talk about it with you. It's Beanie on the Horn, the good, the bad, and the ugly from a busy weekend. Happy Monday. Callahan's General Store, my man TY through the glass, put some of that winter rye seed down in his yard, and it's looking good. Said it's already come through, and these cool nights, it's really growing now. That's what it's about. You want to get that lawn in shape, get it back from this brutal summer we had, heat-wise and drought-wise. Get into Callahan's General Store right there, 501 Bastrop Highway, right there on 183 between the airport and downtown. Planting that winter rye now will give your lawn and help you through the winter. You have to mow it, but it'll look great and give you the green grass through the wintertime. More importantly, the winter rye will rapidly produce ground cover to hold the soil in place during the winter months, basically acting as a protection bridge to bring that soil back. And, of course, as soon as it gets hot, it's going to burn out, but it's going to help you bring back that Bermuda grass or the right whatever you've got going in your yard right now. It's going to look better in the spring, I promise you. So fertilize it and get all your stuff at Callahan's. They're right there, and that place is unreal. The size of it and what they have for you, whether it's the Western wear, the hardware store, the pet food area, the feed, but then, of course, the grass seeds and all you need to make that yard look golf course ready at Callahan's General Store. Locally owned and operated, great people. It's the people that separate it at Callahan's. They'll help you all along the way. Make sure you get the right stuff, apply it properly, get there and see them. Since 1978, a Central Texas legend. This is Callahan's General Store, callahansgeneralstore.com, the website, and make it a Callahan's Day. Put them together. Monday is here, and it's an ugly Monday for a lot of folks. On a good, bad, and ugly Monday. Not pretty for the Longhorns.
No,
Not pretty for the Aggies, the Cowboys.
Just win the game.
Baylor. Rough. Now we get the word from our guy T.Y. through the glass, our producer, that not only is he suffering through a miserable weekend, he almost came to blows in the stands with some TCU
Philly fan.
fans.
He's Philly fan, isn't he?
The hell's going on in there?
Well, if you ever see me at a Texas fan, you're not rooting for Texas. I'm sorry if I'm mean to you. But
did you give it to him?
I gave it to him.
You gave him
it to him.
He was trying to give you the business.
I wasn't gonna let that TCU fan walk out of there being happy about that win. Just say that.
He came up. He started to make the move up towards you.
He started it,
and he made the move at you.
I had the high ground.
I really can't believe, as an alumnus, you didn't make the trip to South Alabama to watch your Texas State Bobcats.
Oh, that's right.
you best believe I bought that half point, and I had them plus 17, and I was keeping score track of that score in the stands.
You didn't go to your alma mater's game, but you bet on them. I like it.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yep.
But all right, so a lot to do. We're trying to figure it all out. How in the world did the Longhorns let TCU take their two best players away from them for 4 quarters? That's a problem.
On that great effort by the defense.
Oh, man. Waste that defensive effort. And, credit Sonny Dykes. I feel like that team won that game with their install on Sunday and Tuesday. They had a better game plan than Texas. And Steve Sarkisian didn't install a good game plan and then never was able to adjust in time with a quarterback who's still deer in the headlights back there trying to figure things out. And Longhorns drop a game that was there to be won. With a little bit of offense, but I'll give the number again that is the ugliest of the morning. You realize in the second half in a 3-point game was the score at half, 3-0. Roschon Johnson and Bijan Robinson combined for 6 carries and 4 yards in the entirety of the second half.
That's giving it up right there.
That's a problem.
Yeah, the other one is 1 for 13 on third down is probably not going to give you a winner for a football game.
I mean, the total touches, when you only run 36 plays into near the end of the third quarter, which means you never have the ball. You can't give touches to your best players because you're punting every third play or fourth play. That's a problem, but at the same time, it comes down to the game plan, the execution of said game plan, and then the adjustments to the game plan as they're not working just took too long. And in the end, TCU broke 2 big plays. A 75-yard touchdown run and a post route to Quentin Johnston. The Longhorns blew the coverage. Other than that, I thought they played magnificent on defense. But, TCU's the team going to play for a Big 12 championship without a doubt. Now, again, Texas can still get there because Baylor got squashed by K-State.
Win your next game.
Win your next 2 games, and we'll start with 1.
Yeah.
Then we'll see where it falls.
The team that beat you last year.
We don't control our own destiny now.
We do not. No, it's looking more and more like what a 3-loss team will be in the championship game, though. And the 3-loss Texas is a 4-loss team, but they're only 3 in the Big 12.
Who's ahead of Texas right now? Oklahoma State is a tiebreaker.
K-State, are they not?
No, Oklahoma State's not.
Well, K-State, the Longhorns on the tiebreaker on that one. If they beat Baylor, they'll own the tiebreaker on that, which is the end of the year. But, again, these other coaches are smart. They're going to do exactly what TCU did. TCU's defense wasn't that good coming in statistically.
No.
Not like this was the Steel Curtain or something. The Purple People Eaters from your Minnesota Vikings back in the day.
But they went physical on that defensive front.
Yeah.
They attacked a couple young guys on the offensive line, and attacked them.
Big time.
Really attacked them.
For me, watching it, it was very similar to what Oak State did. Because Oklahoma State doesn't have a great defense, but in the second half in Stillwater, that's what they did. They collapsed the line of scrimmage, overwhelmed the run game.
Yeah, what do you have when they take away your best guy? What do you have in your bag of tricks?
Well,
as an
you can't let it
player?
happen.
No.
I mean, you cannot let Bijan Robinson be that much of a non-factor in the football game.
But you had Bijan on an out and up, which is a really nice call by the head coach. But there was
on the wheel route.
He couldn't get any better than that. What else do you want the coach to do on that one?
No, he called a great play.
Yeah,
but he continues to stick with that quarterback.
Well, when you're inconsistent, when the quarterback's not accurate, and when the wide receivers don't make catches when they have opportunities to make catches, that's rough too. But you can't let them take away that run game. You can't run the ball 6 times in that second half. You got to
with two really good backs. Well, look, they were going to take away your run, and you let them do it.
And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe if he'd have run it 50 times, they would have stuffed it.
The question is, how do you then open up the run? You got to hit some passes. You really do. You got to loosen them up.
Yeah, the linebackers are up in the line of scrimmage. That's right.
You got to make them pay for it. But right now, this quarterback is just not capable of doing that. As I say, he's seeing the field through a toilet paper roll. He's not seeing but one thing. It's tunnel vision, and it's a problem. To your point of the wheel route that Bijan broke free, that's a touchdown. It's a walk-in touchdown untouched. but somehow the quarterback who was looking to that side of the field doesn't even recognize it. That to me, and Sark's a quarterback more than most. I mean, don't you want to put somebody onto the field that maybe is seeing the field a little bit better? Maybe on this given night.
Sure.
So maybe that TCU has to adjust to us now, and then maybe we can get our best players involved. And and as I said about Quinn Ewers, it's not it's not the end of his career. It's not a commentary on the big picture of what he's going to be for Texas potentially. It was a commentary on that night, and on that night,
right.
He was not. They had put the game in his hands, and he wasn't going to win it for you. And I think, as a coach, I think you have to make TCU adjust to that. See if Hudson Card can get a hot hand going. You don't need much.
But you also should have something for Quinn Ewers too. I mean, you've got to give him something.
Well, that's the other part. We saw this exact same script in the second half at Stillwater, and he's still got the fundamental issues. Feet aren't set. I saw a nice tweet from Joel Klatt pointing out what we talk about all the time. He's just his feet aren't set. It's going to lead to inaccurate passes.
There's only a handful of guys that can do that on a consistent basis with those kind of throws.
Well,
and he's not one of them.
And he's not. They weren't doing that. I don't think when they were redshirt
Probably
freshmen
not.
in college. You got to keep a solid base. You can maybe develop that, but because I think in time Quinn Ewers can be that kind of player. But he's a young guy, and I think and again, if Sark takes him out and they put Hudson in, and who knows what happens from there. If that crushes his ego or questions, well, then that's not the right guy. Then, I mean, you got to understand, guys get taken out if they're not having good games. It happens all the time
at a lot of positions.
Yeah, and you've got you can't make that part of it. And I'm not saying Sark did; he didn't say that. With that in mind, let's get caught up. We'll hear from Sark coming up here. Let's get you the headlines as you get up and out on a rainy Monday morning. Get you the conversations of the day. Top Gun Equipment Rentals bring you the news, and we'll start with college football. And the Longhorns roller coaster up and down 2022 season on a downer on Saturday night. Horns dropped a humbling loss to TCU, 17-10. Credit the Horn Frogs, but the previously potent Texas offense was smothered for 4 quarters by a previously pedestrian TCU defense. As first-year head coach Sonny Dykes and the Frogs held the Longhorns to 3 offensive points, under 200 total yards for a frustrated Steve Sarkisian.
Offensively, we never got into rhythm. We just could not find rhythm. The run game was really difficult. The pass game was difficult, and I wish it was easier to say it was this one thing that didn't go tonight. Man, it felt like we took turns across the board of just unforced errors, and ultimately that's on me. We got to find a way to give our players the confidence to go out and execute and to play the quality of football that they're capable of playing, and that didn't happen tonight.
Flip side of it was TCU. They're now 10-0, clinched a spot in the Big 12 championship game with that win. They also remain at number 4 in this week's AP Top 25 behind only fellow unbeatens Georgia, Ohio State, and Michigan. Outside of Fort Worth and Lubbock, it was a pretty rough Saturday of college football around the Lone Star State. Texas State, Texas A&M, Baylor all taking losses. Craig Way will have more on that coming up in our Craig Way report this morning. NFL, equally disappointing Sunday for Dallas Cowboys fans and the Cowboys. Even mired in his worst season ever, Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers found a way to once again sting the Dallas Cowboys. Rodgers rallied Green Bay from 28-14 down in the second half, tossed 2 fourth-quarter touchdown passes to his rookie receiver Christian Watson. He then led a 55-yard drive in overtime to set up Mason Crosby, the Georgetown native, a 28-yard game-winning field goal. Packers put an end to their 5-game losing skid, beat the Cowboys 31-28. Cowboys fall to 6-3. Next up for Dallas, a trip to Minnesota to face the now 8-1 Vikings. Vikings rallied from 17 down in Buffalo yesterday and beat the Bills 33-30 in overtime in what is easily the game of the year so far in the National Football League. Bills fall all the way to 3rd place in the AFC East behind the surprising Jets, who are also 6-3 but on the tiebreaker, and the 7-3 Miami Dolphins, who rolled the Cleveland Browns yesterday, 39-17. Other Week 10 highlights: Patrick Mahomes, 4 touchdown passes, lead the Chiefs to a 7-2 record. They beat Jacksonville. New Colts head coach Jeff Saturday, a winner in his debut. Indianapolis won in Vegas, 25-20. Had Matt Ryan back at starting quarterback, and Jonathan Taylor was back running the ball like an all-pro. Lifetime Longhorn Colt McCoy got the start in Arizona, led the Cardinals to a 10-point win over the Rams, 27-17. On Sunday Night Football, San Francisco Niners pitched the second half shutout, beat the LA Chargers 22-16. Tonight, Monday Night Football wraps up Week 10. Philadelphia, the unbeaten Eagles, hosting the Washington Commanders. NBA yesterday, all 3 Texas teams off. Philadelphia, how about Joel Embiid? He went off. Big man with 59 points, career high, in a win over Utah for the 76ers. And in golf, how about my man Tony Finau? He wins the Houston Open down at Memorial Park in Houston. 33-year-old won just one time in his first 185 tournaments on the PGA Tour. He's now won 4 of the last 30, including 3 this year.
You know, when Coach says that they had no rhythm, I mean, once you start losing that, you start losing your fundamentals, and then you can see this in this this game plan and what they do. When they don't come out with rhythm and they're not getting it going, the fundamentals they lose, like guys just catching balls that actually do hit them in the hands, or guys trying to throw bombs when the ball's just fluttering up there. You can't, if you don't have rhythm, you still can't lose some of the fundamental things that you do. Some things that will get you back into rhythm. Like when a ball hits you in the hands, you got to make that catch. You have to do that for your quarterback. If it's a little low, I mean, you're a good enough athlete to go down there and make that catch. Come on, we've seen you do it before. Well, they've done it in practice.
Well, you heard Sark say it a little bit ago. He didn't see this coming. He thought they had a good week of practice, but there wasn't a single offensive player that played a good game.
No.
Not one. And, some of that is they didn't get the opportunity to make plays. But, I'll check. I think Jordan Whittington played a fine game. Well, once he started to get used.
I think he's played a lot
game.
of fine games.
Once they started to realize.
He just isn't in the vision of that kid at quarter. There's something else that when they say, here's your first guy. When Xavier Worthy's your first guy, and then they give you your second and third guy, he goes, I'm going to my first guy. He said he was my first guy.
Jordan Whittington should be the guy that's getting 15 targets a game, not Xavier
for sure.
Worthy.
Well, feels like it, and it took him until the third quarter to figure that out, and then he became their offense, right? They were just throwing the little quick game to him because they were collapsing.
And then he would catch and run like a running back,
right? And that's an extension of your running game. That's allowing you to move the ball. Now the problem is they bogged down in the deep red zone in a big way, and bad play calling down there because that's the other point of coaching malfeasance when you get inside the 5-yard line twice and Bijan Robinson touches the ball 0 times. At that point, they're going to collapse the run, but he's still your best player. He's still 5 yards from a touchdown. And, they handed the ball off one time to Roschon on a tempo play after Jatavion Sanders' catch. There was just a lot of just bad football on the offensive side on top of a lot of really good football on the defensive side. And that's the frustrating part for this Longhorn team right now. And they'll have to figure it out. And, one thing keeps being said and tweeted is, why does he go deep to Worthy all the time? Why is Steve Sarkisian calling these plays? Look, my read on that, having heard Sark, whether he was at Alabama, wherever he's been, describe how his offense works, the quarterback has to read the field and throw it where it's supposed to be thrown. So I don't believe in the huddle or from the sideline, Sark is calling deep shots to Worthy over and over again. I think that's maybe the first read. Hey, check deep. If it's there, go to it. If not, check down to the next. That's the quarterback's job in this offense is to, and we've heard Sark say it many times, the defense will determine where the ball should go. They're going to tell you where the ball should go. But if your quarterback is not reading through those progressions and not telling you where to go, all you're doing is locking in on one primary receiver and going there, then sure, if the first read is the deep, because we always want to check the deep shot, is it there? If that's your first read, well, then that's your primary receiver. You're going to force it there over and over again.
That's what he does. He forces it over and over there.
But see, that to me, that's not on Sark. It's on the offense. But at the same time, the quarterback's job is to, okay, that's covered. Check down to something else.
Oh, he threw a couple in the double coverage.
Yeah, and that's, the numbers of his. I think this year or in Big 12 play, he's tried to go down the field vertically to Xavier Worthy 39 times. They've completed 7 of them.
By the way, they know that's coming.
And this is what the offense was the other night. Run the ball on first down, get nothing or lose yards. Play action, deep shot, incomplete. Well, guess what? Now it's 3rd and 11. And now what you going to do? This was the offense all night long until they made some adjustments in the third quarter. Very frustrating. Very frustrating.
No, as someone said, you feel like they're quitting. I don't feel like they're quitting at all. I just think they're very frustrated. And I think the play caller has to be the guy to get them out of that frustration. Well, but you as a player have to do your job too. There's a job that you have to do through the frustration and the no rhythm thing. When the basics come up and the basics are right there for what you got a scholarship to do, just please do that.
Well, it started with the O-line in this game.
They were bludgeoned. They got bludgeoned by that defense. Those older guys on TCU's defense, they were physically getting after certain guys.
Well, and
it worked.
It did, and I thought Texas did the same thing to their offensive line.
Oh yeah,
and that's what the game was. That's why it's 3-0 at half. Is both defensive fronts were just dominating, and neither team could do anything. And that's
but they gave up their linebackers. They just gave up their linebackers for the run, and you should have had something that came over the top of that when there was nobody in the area.
Texas was getting pressure really with their down 4 occasionally 5. TCU was selling out with
everybody was
2-3 linebackers each time, especially on obvious rundowns and into predictable run plays. That's look again. Say it big picture. forget what Vegas thought of this game with 7 points. You lost to the 4th-ranked team in the country, who's 10-0, who may not lose this year. I don't know. So, I mean, you can't throw out the baby with the bathwater and just call it a terrible season. It was disappointing. But Sark's got to be better. I mean, they have to be better week to week.
They're not consistent enough. Yeah.
But that also is a common trait of a young team. I mean, especially a young offense, because where the Longhorns have experience and they have experienced veterans are on the defensive side of the ball, and that's kind of showing up here later in the season. The defense stepping up against Iowa State won the game. Stepping up against K-State won the game. Gave you a chance to win the TCU game. This is where you have 3, 4, and 5-year players across the board. Offense, not as much. Not as much. You've got a young quarterback.
Man, by the way, it won't get
line.
any better next year with that offense with some of the guys that'll be gone, because there's still, no matter what you say, there's not another running back in that running back room. There's not.
There's not.
You may think, you may start saying all these names, but there's not another one in there like the one you have.
Would it have mattered? They didn't use him on Saturday. I mean, you're right. I mean, the offense.
And then when he got open, you didn't throw it to him.
Well, that's what was the most surprising part of Saturday. Even last year when they were 5-7, the offense put 40 points on the board most of the time. Most of the time. So for this offense to get completely – the last time Texas had under 200 total yards in a game was a Charlie Strong-led offense in 2015. I mean,
29 yards for Bijan Robinson, 29?
This was a complete out-coaching job and outperforming job. But again, a veteran team with a chip on its shoulder who has something to play for, and there seemed to be a team on a mission. And you can tell TCU was tired of being said, well, you keep falling behind in games. You keep falling. Well, let's just blast this thing from the beginning.
Let's just stop that running back and see what this kid's going to do. I mean, they went after him.
But the Texas defense went toe-to-toe. And Pete Kwiatkowski gets the credit, but Gary Patterson had his fingerprints all over that defensive game plan, his familiarity with that roster and that team. And, Gary Patterson was spitting venom afterwards. That they lost that game, and the offense couldn't give them anything when their defense – I mean, again, you score a touchdown on defense. You have 5 sacks. You have 14 tackles for loss. You stymie one of the best offenses in college football statistically, except for 2 plays. And you made up for one of those blown plays with a touchdown of your own, and your offense could do nothing to help you out. And that's on Sark, obviously. And we'll see where it happens today. 11 o'clock is the press conference. It was part of another wild Saturday in college football where TYU were spot on with the Alabama-Ole Miss game. You said if Jackson Dart has to win you the game at quarterback, he's not. Alabama survived a really good football game at the Grove in Oxford. Bama gets a big win. LSU survived at Arkansas 13-10.
Snow on the field.
Snow
in Arkansas.
Was it snowing in the Fayetteville?
Man,
Harold Perkins. How about the freshman from Houston? That
kid might be.
That guy's playing Micah Parsons level football.
That dude could be a top 10 pick right now as a freshman.
Yeah,
it's like an NFL player. You're right.
What an impactful dude he is. I don't care what his grade level is. He's awesome. That was big, and then, man, I was really surprised to see not that K-State beat Baylor, but they went into Waco and beat them 31-3.
They had nothing going offensively at Baylor, nothing.
Well, I think the Longhorns were dealt a favor when they started Adrian Martinez in that game, not Will Howard, because what they did at Baylor is they went back to Will Howard, and their defense completely stymied Blake Shapen in that Baylor offense. That's surprising. So we'll get into some of the Big 12 ramifications where it stands, but the Longhorns don't control their destiny, obviously, but there is a scenario by which they could play in the Big 12 title game.
Don't worry about the numbers, just win the game.
And for all of it, if the Longhorns played in the Big 12 title game in year 2, that would be a successful year. I picked 8-4 when the season began. They win 2 more games, they'll be 8-4.
8-4, yeah.
And I think a lot of people picked them to be 8-4. So if you're going to take 4 losses, there's going to be Mondays like this. But it's not wrong to ask questions about the head coach of, hey, what are we doing? Because Steve Sarkisian now 11-11 in 22 games as head coach at Texas. And this one, probably falls at his feet more than most that we've seen in this first year.
This was a stinger on national TV.
Yeah, with a lot of recruits in the building, but I don't think it ends the recruitment of those players, but it's not the.
It just shows them there's some positions available.
Oh yeah, there's some opportunities. Is play caller available?
They're not going to do that.
I know. Well, I mean, that question will be posed.
Because what kind of coach is he? What kind of guy is he? Is he Mike McCarthy just standing on the sideline there? What does he do if he decides to get a play caller? What will change about him and his being able to get a team going?
But that's the problem. I know we've talked about Sark being one of the best play designers and game planners in all of football, but he's showing to not be a great game day play caller, right? And so maybe there is some help there that could be. But that's what you hired Sark for. Was the
That's
play
what I
calling.
mean. That's how you got the job.
Yeah, but it's a full-time job to be the head coach at Texas. It's a full-time job to be an offensive coordinator at a major college too. He's doing both, and he's wearing bad suits. So I don't know. Well,
those racing stripes, man, oh man.
Oh boy, we'll be back. When we do, it's Flex 30 time. Plus, Craig Way has a Craig Way report. We'll hear more from the Longhorn locker room in that update. Also, gossip and the Blitz. Ooh, Blitz could get a little ornery on a Monday. It's B&E on the Horn.
It's Bucky and Aaron.
very sad story coming out of Charlottesville, Virginia this morning, about 10:30 last night on the campus at Virginia. And this is just a terrible story. A University of Virginia football player has been murdered, and 2 other unnamed people also after a shooting on the campus. And the suspected gunman is a former Cavaliers player, Christopher Jones.
That's horrible.
That is a horrible, horrible story. I saw this first because about 8 minutes ago I saw a tweet from Mac Brown at North Carolina saying our thoughts are with the folks in Charlottesville, and I went digging on it, and it happened about 10:30 last night. So 3 people deceased. 1 is a current Virginia football player, 2 unidentified others, and the gunman is a former player at Virginia. So obviously a tragedy with a sports angle to it, so we'll keep an eye on that story. But thoughts and prayers there, terrible. You mentioned Veterans Day and all the great celebrations the weekend, but the tragedy up in Dallas, marring the Veterans Day weekend with that mid-air collision with 2 World War II planes. Obviously, the investigation into that has begun. But good stuff all weekend as far as Veterans Day. I thought there was some really great stuff. And you said at the high school game you were at with Lake Travis, there was good stuff.
There was good stuff all over the place. I mean, you didn't. If you got a chance to shake a veteran's hand or active military, that's all they want. You don't have to go crazy. If you just shake their hand and just thank them, that's plenty for them. They appreciate it. And for all you folks that had your restaurants open to them on Friday, thank you for doing that.
Thank you very much. That's exactly right. All right, so a lot out there, and somebody just said on the Texas conversation, gosh, there's a million texts, but this says still need O-line help, especially on the right side. Yeah, the young freshman right guard struggled, and give TCU credit, right? This offensive line, we didn't see that coming. They've been improving. I mean, gosh, they ran for 1,000 yards against K-State.
Yeah, well, that's why others watch. That's why they watch film.
I know, and they picked Texas apart, and they run blitzed a lot. I mean, they brought extra people, so it made it look worse too because 5 offensive linemen can't block 7 people,
right?
In obvious rundowns, and they were losing their own individual battles while that was happening, so it made it look even worse. But that's a struggle.
But that Texas defensive front was fantastic. Like I said, the big tubbies were everywhere, and they didn't have to blitz. They just brought a lot a pressure.
And they were aggressive. Bo Davis.
But when it was time to run the ball and try to end the game, you know what TCU did?
They ran it.
They found a way to do it.
Yeah, when Max Duggan fumbled the ball and Jahdae Barron scored that touchdown, there were still 4 minutes to go in the game, and it was a 7-point ball game.
And they stuck it on the ground, and that running back just, talking about knifing his way through the defense. They just kept giving it to him, and they weren't going to stop giving it to him.
Yeah, that was really frustrating because the defensive effort was tremendous,
yes.
But when you needed it to get the ball back, you couldn't get it. And
that's what I'm saying. You just got to make one more play. I know you made great plays all day. I know we're going to talk about how great the defense is. But guys, you got to just give me one more and that's the way it is. That's what football is. Give me one more play. I know you've done great all night, but you're going to have to make one more play. So give me that one more, And you can't have confusion in your secondary. You can't let the best player on their team, you can't get confused back there. I mean, we've seen it before. This isn't the first time we've seen it from the secondary. You can't keep doing that. That's how you lose the game. You lose the game that way.
And they lost the game that way. And
can't give up those big plays like that.
4 losses. Hey, let's dive into our Flex 30 update. It's a by-district round of the playoffs in the rearview mirror. We're looking forward to round 2 just after 8:30 here on the show. The people always Flex 30. Join the movement. Join the movement, Buck.
I was in the movement on Friday night, as a matter of fact. I've been round rocking it.
Lake Travis, baby.
Dude, it was – let me tell you something. I know my partner up there, Honig, said, hey, what a nice night for football. Dude, it was cold. I'm telling you, I've been in Texas maybe too long, and I'm not out there in uniform getting all sweaty. But, it was cold.
Hey, I ain't gonna lie.
I'll tell you, it was cold.
When I was on Bevo Boulevard on Saturday, it started, the sun was like cooking right on me, and then it went behind the building. Oh, yeah, it got tip-bit nipply there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, guys coming in there with their short-sleeve shirts, and I'm like, yeah, you're from Texas. Don't even pretend like I can get this done. No, dude, you're cold. Just go ahead.
Hey, so
play cold. But that game was a fantastic game by Lake Travis. The first half was a tough-fought game, but And without Round Rock, without their quarterback.
Yeah, Mason Cochran hurt his back, right?
He hurt his back, but he played sparingly. He got in every once in a while.
Though.
No, he couldn't. He couldn't throw the rock, and they were out there.
Well, we talked to Mason Cochran on this show. He's a vital cog of what they do.
He's a big old kid now.
Yeah, he got a little Sam Ellinger too, in the way he can run and power it and then throw it when he needs to. And obviously that Dragon defense just got wore out without the offensive support. And give Lake Travis credit.
Oh, their offensive line, Caden Leon played well. The wide receivers played well. The defensive front was fantastic. 2 defensive ends, Willis and of course Henry in the middle. They had a hard time running the ball because they had no wide receiver. That was tough for Round Rock. That was a tough game, but
tough Lake to get Travis to that game and lose your quarterback and your best receiver against a team the quality of Lake Travis. So Lake Travis is through. They'll play Cibolo Steel Friday at the
Steel,
the Field in Pflugerville. Of course, Steel beat Lake Travis in the non-district, and they're 11-0. Steel's really good.
Yeah, they got a lot of speed.
Westlake, of course, that's Thursday, easy win. They're going to play New Braunfels now at Rattler Stadium in San Marcos on Friday. Vandergrift beat Bowie, good football game, 28-14. Drew Sanders' team just continues to plug along, and Bowie ends their season with a loss. They're going to play Converse Judson, Buck. How about a 5-6 Converse Judson team? They're going to play that game at Kelly Reeves Stadium there in Round Rock, the Palace on Palmer. Also, Dripping Springs, their undefeated season continues. They're going to play Brandeis at Hero Stadium in San Antonio Saturday at 2 o'clock. Saturday, 2 o'clock. We'll preview all these games in depth as we get rolling. But I've heard it said, because we don't follow San Antonio, but a team that could potentially derail Dripping Springs on their way to a possible trip into the state title game is Brandeis. Good team, talented team. San Antonio Brandeis, 9-2 this year. So we'll keep an eye on that. 5A playoffs, Region 3, you've got Georgetown. How about Georgetown going down to New Braunfels and beating Canyon?
Mm-hmm.
Heck of a defensive effort for the Eagles, and they're 9-2. Now they're going to play Magnolia West in Magnolia Friday. Also, LBJ, they rolled Elgin, my friend. Rolled Elgin on Friday. They're going to play Port Neches Groves in Katy Friday.
That's a big game.
Absolutely. Look, LBJ was they're playing for a state championship. That's in their mindset. They looked like it on Friday against the Wildcats. Rouse taking on Lake Creek. Rouse was a winner. They're going to play down in College Station on Friday. And Belton, they're going to face Brenham in Bryan. Say that 10 times fast. Brenham and Bryan. Belton will play Brenham and Bryan Friday night. Also, Liberty Hill will play Mercedes in San Antonio on Friday. Oh, Regents, Buck. Regents. They're going to play Fort Bend Christian Friday. They have advanced. Also, the Wimberley Texans are undefeated. They'll play Orange Grove Friday in Southwest Legacy Stadium. Not sure where that is. So also, Gerald advances. Lago Vista, Geronimo Navarro have advanced, and they're still playing Llano and Blanco, continuing to roll. Flatonia. How about Flatonia? And then Thorndale.
There you go.
All advancing on Friday. So good stuff. We'll have our players of the week coming up as the week goes on. Our Niall Maxwell Student Athlete of the Week, the day to save your players by the numbers coming off of Friday as we move forward. But those are the teams that have advanced, including all 3 teams that we carry here on the Horn, Buck: Lake Travis, Vandergrift, and LBJ.
So we're just in Pflugerville, huh? Thank you for that. I didn't know where we were going to be at.
The Puffield in Pflugerville.
Oh,
it's a nice spot. Nice spot.
I think I've been there before, yes.
The Puffield in Pflugerville, a good spot for the playoffs.
Thank you. Oh,
playoffs?
Something wrong would come out of that.
All right, there we go. There's a little flex 30. And obviously that was a lot of the good from the weekend. And obviously there were losers in those games too. So for Bowie and Round Rock.
Second round E is when you'll see the running backs take over.
Think so?
Yeah, as you said, this time of the year, you got to be able to run the ball in all walks of football. And here it is right now, week number 2 in high school. This is where when you start finding these runners that can take over games.
Yeah, well, that's Lake Travis did that on Friday. We know that Westlake can do that, right? What is it, 51 in a row? And, Dripping Springs built around that quarterback, but they can run the ball too.
Oh, yes, they can.
Well, because you could deal with some messy weather into this weekend now. The Hogan House with the wedding this weekend, we're hoping for
no messy weather.
Messy weather. We're looking for sunshine and all that kind of stuff.
Chaparrals need to clean it up in the first quarter, going deeper in the playoffs. That's been the
slow start a little bit.
Slow start, letting the defense getting scored on early. That's not going to fly later in these later rounds in the playoffs.
All right, so there you go. There's your Flex 30 update. Wanted to mention this too, and thank you, Ty, for the music. That's good stuff. But we talked about the Texas offensive line struggling on Friday or on Saturday, and you'll never know how much of this was a factor. But Kelvin Banks, the left tackle, who's had such a tremendous freshman year, his mother, Monica Banks, is in a hospital in Oklahoma.
Oh.
She's been in that hospital for 3 weeks due to medical complications, and I was told that she attended the Texas-Oklahoma State game and has not come home. That something came under. I don't know what the situation is now. They've started a GoFundMe page. The Banks family has. Her sister has. She says, "My name is Hattie. I'm Kelvin Banks' sister. Monica is my sister-in-law. Many of you may or may not know. Monica is Jalen and Kelvin's mom. She's been in the hospital in Oklahoma for the last 3 weeks due to medical complications. Please join us as we rally around this wonderful family in their time of need." So it's the Banks family where you can find that. But you have to know that was heavy on a kid and a team.
It's on his mind 24/7.
I did see, Sark, as he was coming down Bevo Boulevard, he stopped and gave somebody a hug that was wearing a Kelvin Banks jersey. So I don't know if there was something. Obviously, that was heavy on the team's
Maybe
heart.
a relative.
Dealing with the mother in the hospital. But either way, if you want to help with that, there's a GoFundMe page set up, and I think you can find it pretty easily.
Lots of prayers to that family, for sure.
Already $67,000 raised.
There you go. Okay, so
lots of prayers.
Lots of prayers. Also, we have the prayers for the folks at University of Virginia. Their linebacker, Deshaun Perry, is one of the 3 killed Sunday night. Terrible. Ugly scene there. But let's lighten the mood. We'll hit the salacious gossip coming up, Buck, off the weekend. We've also got a blitz to do, which could get a little surly because Cowboy fans are mad at that dang guy, Aaron Rodgers.
You're up 14. They shouldn't lose that game.
Well, shouldn't
14?
I'll give you that was one of our B&E facts of the day earlier. But until yesterday, if you include the playoffs, the Cowboys as a franchise with a 14-point lead in the final quarter, 195-0.
See, that's the other thing.
195-0.
Wow. That's the other thing. Between Dak and the receivers, too. That whole receiver-quarterback deal where you're pointing at each other saying, I was supposed to be over here. That gets old, too. I'm seeing the same thing with the Cowboys. Guys are pointing, no, you're supposed to throw it here. And the quarterback looks at you like, oh, no. You need to keep going. Cut underneath the guy. Go over the top. I mean, that's just a bad look.
Yeah. Well, and clearly –
it's not just a bad look. It's not working.
Well, and I appreciate that Greg Olson was on the game yesterday. He's a all-pro tight end himself. Yes. He was pretty clear that was Dalton Schultz's mistake. He needed to cut under on that route and keep it shallow. And look, I mean, we see it all the time in football at every level, certainly in the NFL. Quarterbacks throw the ball to a spot.
They do.
And a lot of times they throw it right to a defensive back. I mean, right in line.
I've seen a couple of that. Yesterday was a lot of that throwing it right to the other color.
It happens in every game, but your guy's supposed to cut under that and be in the right spot, and it's a touchdown. Instead, he cuts off his route, runs, and then we saw CeeDee Lamb do it, where he ran.
He's supposed to come underneath. He went over the top of the guy.
Instead of running a dig route across the field, he ran a post. And then he gets behind the safety where Dak thinks he's going to be in front of the safety, and it's an easy completion. I mean, Dak's got to throw the ball. I mean, that's where it's supposed to go. That's on CD, and I would say that's on Dalton Schultz more than anything. But in the end, it really hurt the Dallas Cowboys because
certainly did.
Those were points that and opportunities. As I said, it was a 14-14 game at halftime when Aaron Rodgers had completed 6 passes. That's a problem because you gave up a touchdown of your own. You also allowed them to run the ball on you. By the way, several people pointed out that if you go to that GoFundMe page, that the largest donor so far to that, the mother of Kelvin Banks, is Xavier Worthy.
Awesome.
That is an awesome thing and a gesture by a teammate. The largest donor
and
so
congratulations to TCU for going through with their game plan and not coming off of it. Because I've never seen a team – I've been around games where, they sold out to do one thing, but then they had to change up because somebody made some kind of adjustment. But, dude, to stick to what they were doing in the run game, to say I'm giving up my linebackers, we're not letting Bijan Robinson, we're not letting your best player hurt us. And that's what we're going to do.
Well, we'll hear from Coach Sark coming up in our next hour about that. Also, a little Sonny Dykes as they are 10-0, still in line for the college football playoff. We'll be back. Load up that blitz. It's B&E on the Horn. QC Kinetics, folks, a location in Austin and in Round Rock, providing relief to Central Texans all over with their chronic pain, right? If you're living with chronic pain day to day, now these cooler temps probably making it even worse. QC Kinetics, though, has the regenerative medicine and the solutions potentially to get you back going, and it really, really does work. I mean, it's the old ways are not the only way. The old ways are the old way, where you just mask that pain in your knees or your hips, your shoulder, lower back with pain pills all the time, maybe an occasional steroid injection, and then, of course, the next step is surgery. Call our friends at QC Kinetics. Talk to them about the regenerative medicine and those treatments where they use highly concentrated blood cells from your own body, injected back into those areas with treatments that are done in the office. I mean, you're doing your lunch hour. You're in, and over time it regenerates that tissue. Get you through the pain, get you back to being an active person you want to be. And it's all at QC Kinetics. They have 2 locations, one in Austin, one in Round Rock. It is the way to go now. All you have to do is call them, set up that free consultation. As I always tell you, if you have a loved one that is stubborn and won't make that call, that's suffering through pain, call for them. 512-593-4303. That's 512-593-4303 at QC Kinetics. No games, just gossip, brought to you by the Bud Light Skis. Hope you had a great Bud Light weekend. We had a lot of fun yesterday out at the great spot there in gosh, I can't ever remember the darn name of the place. It's phenomenal with the pickleball at the Crossroads. It's called the gosh dang. We had a good time there. Bud Light Cowboys game. Didn't stay for the second half, so everybody was happy when I left there. But it was a good time had by all. It was really cool. That's an awesome place, right directly across from the HEB Center in Cedar Park. I mean, it's right there across the way. Super spot, and so get out there. That was fun. Also, Bevo Boulevard was just chocked with people. What a great time. That place was electric, man. It's such a dud of a game for such a great build-up. I mean, it was really, really cool to be out there, and it felt like the Alabama game, but even more.
And the weather was nice, was it not, at that time? I mean, for an evening game?
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah, the weather was cold, but it was.
But the winds,
weather.
but it wasn't winds.
There was a breeze, but nothing crazy. I mean, I enjoyed it a lot as far as that goes. I mean, that I'm sure there was people at the game. Were you cold at the game, Ty, or you were too
Not with
inebriated?
his starter jacket, with that big ass starter jacket. Look at that thing.
Well, he had a bunch of booze in him too.
Yeah,
a nice liquor blanket. It's good.
The field house, by the way, at the crossovers.
You didn't bring that brown blanket from here with you.
No.
Awesome spot. The field house at the crossover.
There you go.
Good times yesterday, and it was a good weekend, except for the outcomes of the games. Hey, we've got some gossip for you, brought to you by Bud Light, the world's favorite light beer and the official domestic beer partner of the Texas Longhorns and the Texas X's. Here we go, Bug. Dana White, you know Dana White?
Yes,
he
sir.
started UFC, MMA fighting.
Mm-hmm.
Dana White, the UFC boss, is now bringing a new sport to cable television called Power Slap. The Power Slap League. We've seen this before where people stand across from each other and slap one another, slap the tar out of each other.
Go Chris Rock.
It's coming to TBS beginning in January. Is this something you'd ever want to watch?
No.
Me either.
Because I'd be ready to throw down.
Scoring is based on a striker's effectiveness along with the defender's reaction and recovery time. They slap each other until someone gets knocked the bleep out.
I'd watch that.
Why?
I don't know. It sounds entertaining.
Oh, Ty is in.
They hit those guys and they knock them out.
Well, that's how you win.
Knocked out.
You hit until someone goes out. Not watching that.
No.
Hey, America's oldest person celebrated her 115th birthday in Iowa last week. Congratulations.
Drink up.
Yeah, awesome. 115. Is that a goal of yours?
No.
115? Come on. I'll be 50 this year.
I know. You're making plans to live until over 100. I'm not. I'm not making those plans. I already have a ticket punched.
So I get to 50. I go 65 more years, right? Come on.
Yeah, okay.
Come
well,
on,
good
man.
luck with it. Good luck. There's nothing wrong with.
How about this guy? Guy in on meth got a DUI in Arizona last Thursday driving, and he had an owl in his car. An owl in his car, injured. I need to see this scene. This was great. He told police that he had just purchased the owl outside a gas station from some strangers who said they found it on the side of the road. This dude's all up on meth.
And he's using his good meth money for an owl to purchase an injured owl. What's wrong with him?
Said he was trying to take it to the vet.
People on meth do strange things, like give away their good meth money.
That's an odd thing.
Really?
Also, gossip of a sports ram, because a lot of people have asked me, what about the Astros and Jim Crane letting James Click, the general manager, walk away? The rumor is now, Buck, and really I think it's more than that. I talked to some people over the weekend. He just didn't get along with the owner. The owner and he didn't see eye to eye. And it's actually that Jim Crane, the billionaire owner, who's involved in a lot in baseball, he didn't think that James Click was aggressive enough. He wanted to pursue, bigger names at the trade deadline. He wanted him to go after.
Get us more.
Yeah, Starling Marte is a big one, the outfielder, because Jim Crane, the owner, was convinced they needed a more dynamic center fielder when they lost George Springer. And apparently James Click was big on Jake Myers, the young outfielder. And at one point, Jim Crane said to him, "Will you bet your career on Jake Myers?" Because the owner was willing to open the wallet and go get Starling Marte. And James Click said, no, we don't need to spend that money. Now, they won the World Series, so Click ends up being right. But Jake Myers didn't.
He just didn't like the tension between them.
They just didn't get along. He didn't. At the end, Jim Crane just didn't think he was a closer. Like he couldn't close deals that needed to get closed. Whether it was Starling Marte or a trade at the trade deadline for Wilson Contreras, they weren't seeing eye to eye. So Jim Crane offered him a 1-year offer, which he knew he wouldn't take, and see you later. Didn't have to fire him, but he walked. Let's go to your Blitz. There's some gossip.
The Bucky and E Blitz.
Here we go. First Blitzer, you're up.
Hey, Aaron, don't be sleeping on the team and the Lincoln Riley and Bucky. 11-11. Your record says what you are, and Joey McGuire has it right.
Yeah. Next Blitzer, you're up.
Fire outside. You people do realize he was about to give the offensive coordinator a raise and an extension prior to the TCU game. Think about that.
Think about that.
Next Blitzer, you're up.
Hey, guys, I would have watched the game on Saturday, but after I got fired, I had to beg for change on 6th Street. This is Trey Elling.
Paper route not doing it, huh? Next Blitzer, talk to us.
Bucky.
Yes.
Quinn still throwing them bombs.
Underthrowing them bombs. Next blitzer, you're up.
I don't think Alex Bregman solidifies his place in the Hall of Fame after this World Series, even if he doesn't make 3,000 hits, which he probably won't do.
Thank you.
You're so sure about that 3,000 hit thing. Next blitzer, you're up.
Is this the weak-ass Austin media actually hold Sark accountable and ask some questions?
News conference.
They
at
may not
11
have to
o'clock
ask him. He
today.
may just give up answers today. Next blitzer, you're up.
Sarkisian got out-coached by cloudy lesbians.
What?
Wow.
Coach of the year, potentially.
Next blitzer, you're up.
Yeah, this is Charlie. Wrong? Yeah, hey, the cake is baked.
Oh, man.
Cake is baked.
That cake is baking.
Well, look, I mean, there's a Dallas Morning News has a story over the weekend that, I don't know, this is gossip, that Del Conte wanted Sonny Dykes and the boosters wanted Sark, and now Sonny's at TCU, that whole thing. Look, I picked Texas to be 8-4. I still think they're going to be 8-4. So as disappointing as the game is,
they have to be that, because if they're 7
they go
and
6-6.
yeah.
That's an underachieving season.
Absolutely.
But, and guess what? My goal for the team was 8-4, and that the Baylor game would matter if they beat Kansas. And then, by the way, they've opened as an 8.5-point favorite at Kansas on Saturday at 2:30. They win that game. The Baylor game may be for quite a bit. It might be actually for a trip to the Big 12 title game. No guarantee on that, but
I thought they'd be 9-3 and in the championship game.
Well, I had 8-4. So as frustrating as that game was, are they underachieving, overachieving? They're a young team with a young quarterback, and the coach is still trying to figure some things out, I guess. But it feels like they should be better than 6-4, though. That's the frustrating part, even though a lot of us picked 8-4. And that's what they're staring at right now, potentially. All right, we'll take your thoughts on that. We'll hear from Sark coming up from the postgame locker room. Also, what's coming today. It's a busy Monday. It's a good, bad, and ugly Monday, of course, on B&E. Supreme Lending, folks. It was a rough week with the John McClellan and Supreme Lending picks, that for sure. Everyone struggled. I think the Chris Waters team did the best this weekend. A lot of 1-4s out there, including ours. But yes, we love John McClellan for other reasons as well. The picks and the charity and the fun we have with them. But really, if you need a mortgage or a mortgage coach, I can't recommend John and his team enough. In this competitive market like we have right now with the rising interest rates, more than ever, you need the right mortgage company on your side, and that's John and his team at Supreme Lending. They're the best mortgage coach out there, and you have to have it. Realtors all over Austin know and trust Supreme Lending. They have for years, and a Supreme Lending approval letter gives you the advantage that will make the difference in getting that winning bid on a new home. With all the rate changes and everything happening in the market, it's more important than ever to hire the best, and John and his team are certainly that. They're local and accountable neighbors of ours right here with us for 20-plus years. Give yourself that Supreme Lending edge by calling John at 361-4717. That's 512-361-4717. Or go to johnmcclellan.com. That's johnmcclellan.com. License number 207768 3620 Executive Center Drive, Austin, Texas. B&E with you, trying to recap a good, bad, and ugly weekend. A lot of ugly for the home team. Certainly Cowboy fans, and ugly there too. Also, we mentioned the last hour the ugliness and tragedy at the University of Virginia. It appears that 2 football players may have been gunned down in that situation by a former Virginia football player. That's just horrible tragedy.
Sad story.
It's just developing. Apparently happened about 10:30 last night on the campus or near the campus at Charlottesville, Virginia. So we will follow that coming up. But a lot to do, a lot of conversations, Longhorns, frustration. And because, as I say, the Longhorns still have a really good shot, I think a very good shot at being 8-4 when the season's over, which was a lot of people, including me, predicted. But at the same time, it's not wrong to criticize and talk about why they're not winning these games, because they all seem, all the way back to the Alabama game, the 4 losses are right there. And execution in key moments. And in this one, it was really from the jump where TCU outcoached Texas and took away their best players, and Texas couldn't get them in. But once they got into the red zone, that's more problems for Texas in this game. So, close is only good enough in horseshoes and hand grenades, and the Longhorns might be close, but TCU is the team that leaves here undefeated, and they'll be in the college football playoff and potentially. Now, they got to win out. They got to beat Baylor this week and then close it out. And then they would have to win a Big 12 championship game, which, is just rough as it sounds after what we saw.
Well, if they play like that on defense.
Well, but they haven't played like that on defense. That's the thing. That's where it's almost like they had the Texas game plan. And, because as I've said in the updates, Texas was a potent offense that ran into what was a pretty pedestrian defense statistically, and yet they were shut down. That speaks to, A, they played a great game and executed a great game plan at TCU, but you also
and 2, you let them.
And clearly you have a tendency here, right? If you can't run the ball. And I think they ripped and repeated a lot of what Oklahoma State did in the second half in Stillwater and made Quinn Ewers have to beat them, and he couldn't. And Steve Sarkisian's unwilling to make a change at quarterback even for a quarter to see if it can spark the team. And here we are, the Longhorns sitting at 6-4, 4-3 in Big 12 play. If you look at the conference, K-State is 5-2. Right now, K-State would be in the driver's seat to get themselves to the Big 12 championship game to play TCU. And that might be a great rematch because you realize K-State had them down 28-10 at one point in Fort Worth, and their quarterbacks got hurt, and TCU ended up winning that game. But that's the most likely scenario right now. But Oklahoma State, Baylor, and Texas are 4-3.
Got that tiebreaker over K-State.
Yeah, there's a lot that has to happen for Texas to be in the mix. But at the same time, Kansas State still has to play at West Virginia and Kansas. Now, those are likely wins for West Virginia or for Kansas State, right? At West Virginia, where there were reports this morning that the athletic director has been fired.
Coach Brown.
Now, Neil Brown may have saved his job for a week because they beat Oklahoma.
That's true.
And Oklahoma's now a 5-loss team. But West Virginia and Kansas, if K-State wins both of those games, they will be in the Big 12 title game against TCU, who's already clinched a spot in that regardless of what happens. So, it's we'll hear from Sark today at 11 o'clock. I mean, I know he'll be asked about why do you stick with a quarterback who's struggling? I mean, why? I mean, all the world can see it. I mean, I certainly saw it with my own eyes live in Stillwater and felt like they because Quinn Ewers didn't just struggle in the second half in Stillwater. It was the whole game. But they were able to run the ball in the first half, and they scored 31 points. TCU just snatched the run away from them. And you should say that shouldn't be allowed to happen. But when a team is, run blitzing you on every rundown and bringing more people than you can block, you've got to be able to counter that.
Well, you got to be able to get that back out of the backfield so he can go. So this linebacker has a responsibility to cover him. And then when it happened, you missed him. Missed him for a touchdown. The guy fell down. It wasn't that he was close to him. By the way, you could have thrown that. Ty could have thrown that. I don't know if I could. Oh, my goodness.
I could have thrown the wheel route.
You could have thrown that wheel route.
But it's one thing to throw. You got to see it. And to me, that's the commentary on where Quinn Ewers is right now. And it's why TCU's game plan worked, because the quarterback is focusing on one primary target, and he'll force it to that target. He just will.
If you tell him that's number one, he goes to number one, no matter if he's covered or not.
Yeah, I mean, when you hear passing progressions, right, there's a first option, then second, third, fourth, and you're supposed to go through them. So I think a lot of times in Sark's offense, the deep shot is the first option because you want to see if it's there. If it's there, we want to get a chunk play.
But he liked throwing them bombs.
But you don't have to keep forcing it if it's not there. And all too often it's really not there. And he still throws it, which means he's not getting to progression 2. He's not getting to progression 3. he's not giving the offense the best chance to move it, because if they're going to run blitz like they did, the passing game should be effective. It should be where you have your advantage numbers-wise, yet this quarterback right now can't take advantage of it. And that's why you punted 9 times and didn't, through the first 9 drives of the game, you ran a grand total of 36 plays. But
you can't run that. You've got to run more than 6 times in that second half. That's just
sure.
You got to, and some would say if you ran it 50 times, you're going to get stuffed. But you got to give that one player an opportunity to get that done. You just do.
Well, that's
if somebody misses a tackle or whatever. But dude, he didn't even puncture the line of scrimmage. I mean, these were moves that he was making 2 yards deep in the backfield. And I'm not saying it's just. They were the first couple runs were tentative, and you get tentative if there's unblocked guys in your face. When they're in the backfield, and you're just getting the ball, and there's a guy standing right there, and you're like, yo.
It says, can someone interview the people who gave Quinn Ewers a 1,000 recruiting rating? Well, look, you and I have done this long enough. I remember having these exact same conversations about a kid named Vince Young, who was the highest-rated quarterback the Longhorns have recruited since Quinn Ewers. And we had the exact same conversations. People wanted him out, and Chance Mock is the quarterback and moving to wide receiver. He's never going to get it. And obviously we saw what happened. He became the greatest player in the history of the program, arguably, and won a national championship. I'm not saying Quinn Ewers is going to do that, but I'm saying, by the way, if you go look at Sam Ehlinger and his freshman numbers versus Quinn Ewers, they're very similar. Quinn's actually thrown more touchdowns. Sam ran for more. But their passing percentage is about the same, 57%. And Sam struggled. Now Sam could bring the running element that Quinn doesn't, which, but again, I'm not going to throw out Quinn Ewers and what he can be. I think right now he's struggling with mechanics. He's struggling with confidence. And that's what goes to A.J. Milwee and Sark is, why is it not getting better? Why you had a bye week in there to work on some of these fundamental things. Now, are you working on it and then he regresses back to the bad habit come game time? When pressure hits, it's possible. And he's going to have to learn that. But, man, this is why are you being stubborn to not say, hey, it's not like we haven't seen Hudson Card play this year.
And he's played okay.
Hudson Card went 3-1.
Right.
He was a starting quarterback. And it wasn't his fault they lost the Texas Tech game. He took you down and got you in the field goal range.
Your job is to win that game. It's not to worry about feelings in that game. You can come back to this. It doesn't matter. Quinn Ewers can start the following game after that. But for the particular game that was going on Saturday, that's really kind of the first time I had that real feeling of, it seems like I need somebody that can run outside, that can get away, that I can run some sprint out passes or something, get rid of the ball quickly.
Or force TCU to do something different. No,
do anything differently.
I mean, I think Sark will talk about how they did make some adjustments finally and got Jordan Whittington involved and went to the quick game. And they were moving the ball, and then their red zone offense was just atrocious.
And T for you, that whole Jordan Whittington thing, here's another player. You've got a guy like Bijan, but you got a healthy Jordan Whittington that Sark, all he did was talk about how wonderful Jordan Whittington was year number 1 when he was here. And, Coach, he's really healthy this year. Give it to him even more, right? Isn't he the one guy that you kind of can trust to make a catch, a routine wide receiver catch that hits him in the hands?
And make a play after he
catches it. And to make a
play
after he catches it, yeah.
Yeah, like I said earlier, he should definitely be getting more targets than Xavier Worthy.
Well, again, go to what we just said. If you're not going through your progressions and your first option's the deep shot to Worthy and you throw it continuously.
And it's covered.
You never get to the 4 option. You never get to Whittington. You're not going through the progression. Now, when did Jordan Whittington start catching balls? When he became the first option on the little quick game. And this is where this quarterback is. He's going to his first target every time. And he very rarely will come off of that target to go to the next, which means,
Then you have to make a move to win a football game. You have to make a move and get him out of there.
100% agree with that. And as I was saying earlier, it's not like we have – if I hadn't seen Hudson Card play at all this year, it'd be a little bit different. I watched Hudson Card play. He's pretty good. And he plays he's a winner. And he didn't play great last year and then battled injuries. But the last game he played was West Virginia. That was his best game. He was really coming on. And I'm not saying he shouldn't have gone back to Quinn, but now Quinn's been the starter for 5 weeks now. And there's just issues, and the Big 12's figured them out. I mean, they figured out, here's what we do, and he will – I mean, it was in Stillwater. It was in the second half of the and I even think in the second half against K-State when the lead was dissipating, Sark didn't even trust him to throw. They were just running into the 9-man box. It was almost like he didn't have confidence that he wouldn't make a mistake, and that's a problem. Now, again, if Sark is looking big picture, saying this is for the good of the program long haul, this is our Vince Young, he's going to be a great player, we have to live with it, then you're going to lose some games, especially to a top 5 team who's 10-0.
That's right. You're absolutely right. You're going to lose to a team, a real good team that comes to play you, whether you're on the road or come home.
Right. And you're not beating you may lose to an average team. You're not beating a top 5 team with that quarterback play. You're just not. And the defense played good enough. You almost could have. I mean, you almost could have. So that's where we sit with Texas right now, 6-4. Still a chance to get to the Big 12 title game, but K-State really has to collapse because K-State has 2 games left with West Virginia and K-State. If they stay as a 2-loss Big 12 team, they're going to be there.
Or they got after Baylor. And guess what they did with their running back? They don't you don't stop him. They find ways to get the ball to Deuce Vaughn. Whether he's in the slot or he goes one-on-one against a linebacker, they want their guy to get the ball. Deuce Vaughn will get the ball.
Yes. Deuce Vaughn will get the ball.
Yes.
And look, I mean they've earned that, right? Texas beat them. Right, and Texas was up 31-10 on that K-State team, who very well may play in the Big 12 title game, and you had a chance to beat TCU, but your quarterback play, your passing game not good enough, your play calling not good enough, and that's what we'll hear Sark address coming up at 11 o'clock today. And that is, even though I picked them to be 8-4, that's why I understand the fans' frustration. That's frustrating to be that close in these games, and it feels like the coaching or the coaching decisions. Are leading to this. Now, Alabama's Alabama. Alabama's a tough one. But the Texas Tech game, the Oak State game, where you probably should have gone to the backup in a spot to spark your team and give them a chance. And then in this game, again, these are losses.
Yeah, because don't you do that at every other position? If a guy fumbles a ball.
Well, the freshman Cole Hudson sat, and they put in the freshman. I mean, they made a change at offensive line for a guy that was really struggling.
Yes.
It's possible. You're allowed to do that. For a guy that's not playing well, he keeps doing it with a third receiver spot, right, where he rotates guys in there. Well, the quarterback is under the same, criteria in my mind.
Because you have to win the game.
You have to win the game.
Future is nice, but win the game that you're playing in that day.
All right. Well, so there's some Texas, as we said, kind of a wild day in the Big 12 because TCU stays alive in their run. And by the way, how do we think this plays out when? Because if TCU has to beat Baylor and Waco, and that's a rivalry game, that rivalry with those two programs
goes
back to
way back.
Well, Art Briles and Gary Patterson were not fans. But now it's Sonny Dykes and Dave Aranda. I think these are two friendlier guys, but it's still a rivalry between the programs. But man, Baylor's team looked awful in their loss to K-State.
Their offense looks really bad.
And that was a huge win for K-State. As we talked about, they put themselves in a driver's seat position. And we're going to have an all-purple Big 12 title game, it looks like, and that was a huge win for them, 31-3 on the road. I thought Texas Tech got their running game cranked back up, and they keep their bowl hopes alive with a big win. Oklahoma, what are they going to do in Norman? I mean, Aggie fans are panicked, rightfully, but Brett Venables, year one, much like Texas suffered through last year, 5-loss season, and could be more because they play Oklahoma State this weekend in Bedlam. They could end up.
Oh, and Gundy wants to go out. He wants to send Oklahoma out of this conference. Oh, you know that.
Oh, yeah. That's the primetime game this week, by the way, in Big 12 play. That's the night game. Texas plays the 2:30 kick with Kansas at Kansas.
And for the Aggies, Cadillac comes out. Cadillac Williams, interim head coach.
I wouldn't. I mean, if you're the Aggies, do you have to just bite your tongue and put up with a unacceptably horrible season? And just move forward and trust Jimbo to get it fixed?
Where is that truck? Where's that dump truck filled with the money? That's what's going to happen there, I believe. I just think they're not going to do it. They're not going to stand for it.
I mean, but Auburn is a wounded animal as they are. I mean, they got their Cadillac Williams, their coach. They fired 2 coaches in 3 years at Auburn. They're a mess, and they beat you and shut your offense down. I don't know what to say for Aggie fans. I mean, it's just. I know Aggie fans are now clamoring for Jeff Traylor at UTSA. Someone's got to buy out that $85-90 million buyout.
And didn't Jeff Traylor just get a huge contract himself for a long, long time?
But Jeff, being the East Texas high school coach he is and was, he would jump at that job. He really would. Knowing that whatever Jimbo's doing, he stockpiled some pretty good players there.
There you go. That's right. Hey, no matter what, keep getting that talent in.
As Nick Saban would say, he bought every one of his recruits. Hey. But, hey, Jeff Traylor's like, oh, they're pretty good.
Sark, just keep getting those recruiting cloud. Keep doing it on the recruiting trail.
Well, Jeff Traylor just
that talent will outweigh your coaching eventually.
Clinch another spot in the Conference USA title game.
Because I'll tell you this, down in Georgia, guess what they have? Talent. They've been recruiting it forever. And the backups to a whole bunch of guys who went to the NFL, they are still killer dogs on defense. Man. And 3 tight ends, when one graduates, when one heads to the pros, they'll have another one right behind them.
Agreed.
Man, are they good.
All right, so we'll come back. When we do, it'll be our Texas State snapshot. We'll also talk some Cowboys football. We got to talk about the Bobcats, who lost a tough one at South Alabama on Saturday. We will also continue the Cowboys conversations with their loss. How about Aaron Rodgers? There's just something about that Aaron. He can be having his worst season of his career, and he's still going to find a way to get you. Let's talk about BetUS, Buck.
Oh yeah, because I gave you guys. I'm sorry. I sometimes I can't go that 75% that I'm used to going for you guys.
You did not go 75% this weekend.
No. But there's just.
Yeah, and guess who's coming on our show this week? Barry.
Oh no,
Barry.
He's going to be embarrassed for me.
Yes. Barry
from
BetUS, everybody's favorite, will join
I
us
should have
later
never quit
in
drinking
the week.
21 years ago. If Barry's coming back, my goodness,
Shots are on him.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Shots are on him at 6:00 in the morning.
Yeah, our man Barry will be with us later this week.
Folks are going to miss him. 28 years of business, in the NFL, and there were some hard NFL games, but you could have got them yesterday for sure.
Yeah, well, hopefully you had some fun with it. Whatever you're doing, don't bet more than you can afford, please. Have fun with it. Whether you're playing the casino games or betting the horses or obviously the football, the basketball, college football, whatever's going on, do it at BetUS. Our promo code is HORN, H-O-R-N. That's H-O-R-N. You get up to 200% in bonuses as you get this thing cranked up. You also can call them at 879. BetUS, 28 years in this industry. Unbelievable. No one does it better than BetUS. BetUS.com. Promo code HORN, H-O-R-N. Data Savior, folks, who is protecting your IT and your data at your business? That's really the question you need to know. And as I say, Brian and his team there, they've been 20 years strong here in Central Texas as an IT and data backup company, serving businesses of all sizes, but mostly small businesses. They realized there was a hole in the market that small businesses, most of them don't have a dedicated IT pro on the staff, so they're vulnerable to things we see all the time, hacks and theft and fire that loses that data. Obviously, the ransomware is a problem, and it really can cause a financial disaster. And I've talked to Brian so many times about stories where people call him after the fact, and it's just terrible. I mean, vendors need to be paid, calendars, appointments, emails. It's all your IT, your information technology. It's gone. Maybe you can get it back, but if not, how long can you survive without it? Brian and his team at Data Savior want to get ahead of that with you. They want to be the seatbelt for you as we talk about the helmet. Be your guide to data security. It starts with a complimentary on-site assessment of your business and where your IT is backed up, how it's done, who's monitoring it, and then they will take and join you and your company as a team member. They're not going to be a vendor. They want to be right there with you to monitor that backup 24/7, provide daily updates. There are no monthly commitment fees. They simply become part of the team and provide that great data backup that is a must in today's high-tech landscape. Make sure you're covered with their HIPAA-compliant, top-level encrypted service by going to datasavior.com to set up that complimentary assessment. That's datasavior.com, or call Brian directly, 512-707-0026. That's 512-707-0026 at Data Savior.
It's Bucky and Aaron.
Oh, man, what a weekend. It was kind of a blue Monday for a lot of folks. Longhorn fans, Cowboys, man, how do you let Aaron Rodgers do that to you again? Rip your heart out with a 14-point fourth-quarter lead. We've said it a few times, and it doesn't get any easier. The Cowboys as an organization have been 195-0 entering the fourth quarter with a 14-point lead. They lost it yesterday, and for Mike McCarthy back in Green Bay, where there's a street named after him right outside Lambeau Field, Mike McCarthy Way. Well, the Mike McCarthy way didn't work very well yesterday because Aaron Rodgers was Aaron Rodgers, and they could run the football. That's going to be a big problem for the Cowboys if they can't figure it out. They've got a chance to be a real contender, but
yeah, we said that going in. They're struggling on run defense.
204 yards rushing yesterday for the Packers, who had been struggling to do anything offensively. And remember, their next few games: Dalvin Cook and the Vikings, Saquon Barkley, Jonathan Taylor. I mean, they're going to see some really good backs and really good running games here in the near future. So Cowboys need to figure it out. They go to Minnesota this week, where the Vikings played.
Good luck to them against those Vikings.
The 8-1 Vikings played what easily is the game of the year in pro football yesterday. Justin Jefferson made what's easily the catch of the year, one of the great catches of all time on a 4th and 18, one-handed in coverage. Unbelievable. That guy's one of the best players on the planet. That's obvious. But what a game. So we'll get back into the NFL. We got college football as well. And with that in mind, it's time at 9:30 every Monday after a game. It is time for the Texas State Spotlight. And that is what it is, and it's the time to talk some football with Texas State head football coach Jake Spavital. The Bobcats lost at South Alabama on Saturday, but 2 home games to wrap up their regular season this Saturday and the following, so a chance to finish strong coming off a 38-21 loss at South Alabama. Good morning, Jake.
Good morning. How you guys doing today?
Doing fantastic, Coach.
How was Alabama outside of the final score, my friend?
Yeah, no, it was. I'm telling you, like, you go down there and man, it's a good environment. It's they've done a really good job of combining with the Senior Bowl and building this phenomenal facility and everything. So it was a great experience for us to go down. You sit there and you look at the game and again, like, it's one of those deals where we started off offensively with some struggles, ended up having a few injuries and had to kind of move some guys around and struggle in the first half, and the defense played well in the first half, and then you get into the second half, and the offense kind of found their rhythm, and the defense kind of struggled in the second half. So, our kids, we just they're fighting, they're playing hard, man, and we're working through the adversity of things. We're just not putting it well together at the same time, and not playing complementary football, and that's kind of been our struggle of ups and downs of what we've kind of been through this entire year, but. I'll tell you that these kids, they show up and they fight, and they know that we're playing for a lot with these kids. With 2 home games and 2 opportunities left with some of the guys that have 2 games left in their career, and these kids are back to work. We had a great Sunday, which is always something I'm concerned about. To see how they're going to respond the next day, and especially when you're not playing for bowl eligibility. And they came in with a good spirit about themselves, and they got right back to work. So it's
fantastic. Coach, the third downs, getting third downs and, third down plays and stopping third down plays. I mean, the importance of that. I mean, that was important in your game on Saturday.
Yeah, it was, and like you guys probably see this all the time about, South Alabama's an analytics team, and you know exactly when they're going to go for it on fourth down and
right.
what type of call they're going to do on third down. And it was kind of like interesting because like they were converting some third downs when they're backed up, and they're very efficient with that. But then when they got into really the red zone area, we got them into fourth downs and they were 6 of 6 for the fourth downs, so like they were extending those drives and they kept us off the field. We only had 17 snaps in the first half offensively. And, that's pretty tough to do, and kind of get into a rhythm. And like you're saying, like, that also has to do with the critical downs of the offense in the first half as well. So, that was something that we were better at last week on critical downs, and we were pretty bad. We weren't very good this week on critical downs, like you're saying, Bucky.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the third down defense, as you said, 5 of 17. You're feeling good, but they went 6 for 6 on fourth. And Obviously, we know a team like that, if the third down call will impact the fourth down call. If you need 8, they'll try to get 4 or 5 to make it a manageable fourth down. And it's smart football, but at the same time, it does wear your defense down if you can't get that. We saw the Longhorns playing in Lubbock this year. Same thing happened. That Texas Tech went 6 of 8 on fourth downs, and by the end of the game, the Texas defense was pretty gassed.
Yeah, I know, and that can really take the confidence out of a defense too, because you're sitting there playing so well and getting them into fourth down situations, which is the goal, just for them to go for it. And like you got to understand that you got 2 critical downs, you got a third down and a fourth down that you got to account for. And to give credit to South Alabama, they did a really good job on their fourth down package, and they stayed on the field, and like you said, wore down the defense. And I think that was kind of where it was at in the second half. Our defense played well in the first half, and they wore down in the second half, and it was a little too late for the offense to get the rhythm, where we got to put together an entire game, for all 4 quarters.
Jake, how do you keep the mindset of every play matters? Because, especially with the young kids, I shouldn't say that. It's maybe with all of us, there's always time for something else to happen. We always tend to think that, we will worry about it because we know we got a couple more days left on this earth. You just never know. I mean, so in a football game itself, kids tend to think, oh, wait a minute, it's only the second quarter. It's only so much left before halftime, or there's so much. We got 3 more. We're going to get this ball 3 or 4 more times in the middle of the fourth quarter. So they tend to say, next time we'll get it done. I mean, to make them understand how much every play matters.
Yeah, and that's like also when you convert a fourth down, we got to line back up and defend that first down.
Right.
You can't really be in your feelings. You can't let that play negatively affect the next play. And that's something that we talk about all the time, and our kids do a decent job of it. But like you can see when they convert the fourth down, that naturally the confidence goes down, and we've got to have a short-term memory where we line right back up and go back that first down call. And I'm telling you, they had some very long drives, especially in that first half. I think they held the ball for like almost 20 minutes in the first half. It was just kind of such a long. Way for the defense to stay out there. And you're right, Bucky, man. That's something that is very important and pivotal in today's time where, who cares about the outcome? Who cares about what happened, in the previous snap?
Right.
It's more about just complete focus, one play at a time, and understanding the scenario, and then doing whatever you got. And good, bad, or indifferent, you still got to line up and play that next play. And you see it, you see it everywhere. You see it on NFL Sundays. You see it in high school and college ball. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges for coaches is to just understand that, hey, you got to have a short-term memory, and there's many opportunities for you to make another play, and you just got to have that memory where you can just shake it off and get on to that next play.
Texas State Snapshot and Spotlight brought to you by Bud Light in this game this week. 2 home games to wrap it up. You got Arkansas State this weekend, Louisiana, the Raging Cajuns at the end. Both teams are under 500 in conference play, so you have to feel like you have an opportunity here to finish strong, Coach. Bud Light will present the game 4 o'clock at Bobcat Stadium, but I'm sure for your guys to know you have 2. It's also Spirit Day with the whiteout this Saturday afternoon, so an opportunity twice to finish with victories and leave the season with a positive taste.
Oh yeah, especially being at home. I think these kids are fired up to be at home because we've been on the road the last 2 weeks, and it's always good to play in front of your home crowd, and especially if you can get a win in front of your home crowd. It just makes life a lot better, especially just being home, being around your friends and family, and then just kind of enjoying that afternoon after the game. And I think our kids are excited to line back up. There's a lot of kids, like I was saying, that have 2 games left in their career, and there's a lot of kids motivated to do whatever they can to put these guys in a position to win for them. And that's what makes it fun, because it shows the selflessness of our team, and they're wanting to do something great in front of the home crowd and finish the season strong. And I understand that we've had a lot of injuries and gone through some ups and downs, but they're more important about just the process of putting something together and trying to get a win for this home crowd and for these seniors going out.
Jake, we appreciate it, my friend. We know it's a rough trip, but we look forward to some better conversations next week and the following with a chance with 2 home games to finish strong. Thank you, Jake.
Good luck, Coach.
I appreciate you guys.
Jake Spavital, head coach at Texas State. Speaking of Jakes, we got to say props to our guy Jake from Student Loan Payment Lawn Care because his TCU bet. Do we have to sing the fight song or something? Is there something we have to do? Because he bet us on Friday that TCU was going to win that game. He took the money line.
Yeah, he went up straight on that money line, didn't he?
Yeah, he didn't even take them points.
He needs to go and cut his lawn. Let me have at it with my little push mower.
Oh, that'd be great.
Let me have at it.
Oh, great. A couple of pieces of breaking news. Did you see that this morning Steve Wilkes, who's the interim head coach of the Carolina Panthers, has announced that the headbutter Baker Mayfield will be starting for the Panthers.
Very nice. See what you do? See how he got that job?
P.J. Walker got hurt.
Oh, okay.
He was headbutting his teammates. Also, props to our man Colt McCoy, 3-1 now as a Cardinals starter. 3-1, completing 74% of his passes. Did you see your guy, Cliff Kingsbury, yesterday? He looked happy. I mean, it's like, oh, I love this guy, Colt.
Kyler's at the house or something.
Kyler's got a hamstring. And Colt's just a good teammate, good dude. Kyler be yelling at you, cussing you out, F-bombing you. I don't need that. Also, I still can't believe Josh Allen, who's among, if not the best player in the league, among the top couple.
Yeah, he's crushing his MVP status, isn't he?
Those turnovers. That guy fumbled the ball at the goal. I know you don't try to do that, but, man, 3 fourth-quarter turnovers.
Every play matters. You're talking about
overtime.
The quarterback center exchange that they've done a million times, those two together.
Listen, I mean, that
backed up on your own goal line.
You can't. I mean, they were up 27-10, I believe, at one point. 17-point lead in that game. Couldn't close it, and a big part of it, Dalvin Cook ripped off an 81-yard touchdown run, which your defense
and the other is
can't allow.
Kirk Cousins is quarterback.
You like that?
Yeah. How about that?
Well, Kirk Cousins couldn't get in on his quarterback sneak. I still can't believe Dalvin Cook dropped that. That game was so insane. I mean, that
ball was too late to him.
That game was hard to describe. It's almost like you wouldn't believe it if it was a movie. That Justin Jefferson on a 4th and 18. First of all, it's 24 to 17. Or no, 27 to 17. You score a touchdown, but your kicker misses an extra point. So now you have to score a touchdown if you're the Vikings, not kick a field goal. That sucks. Well, what are you doing? You got a pretty good kicker who misses an extra point. Well, so now it's 27-23 instead of 27-24. Well, you get the ball back. Your defense gets a stop. And now the Buffalo defense puts Minnesota in 4th and 18, Buck. 4th and 18. The odds of making that in the National Football League are what? 10, 8%?
Yeah, around there. Yep.
And he throws a prayer to Justin Jefferson. Where's my best player? He threw it up into coverage.
Dude, he's going from left to right, and he still uses his right hand to jump up and catch the ball.
I think the circumstances make it maybe the best catch I've ever seen. The fact that it was 4th and 18, you're on the road in Buffalo. He goes up with one hand. I mean, this isn't Odell Beckham by himself in the end zone with one hand. This is Justin Jefferson with a guy draped on top of him trying to intercept the ball, and he rips it away from him with one hand. So he makes the catch, first down. You go on. The fact that they went on and won the game, and that game would have been over had he not caught that ball. They would have taken a knee from there, the Bills, and the game had been over. Well, from there they go on and they score the touchdown. But to get the touchdown, Buck, on 3rd down from the 1-yard line, Kirk Cousins hard counts and gets the defensive line to jump off sides.
Man.
So now he's got a free play, and he rolls to his right, and there's Dalvin Cook standing over near the right pylon by himself. He throws it to him, walk in for a touchdown to win the game. Dalvin Cook drops the ball. I mean, hits him in the chest. I mean, hits him right on the number 4.
The pros do it. They do it here a lot on Saturdays.
And every Viking fan's going, what? So then, of course, they go for it on 4th down because they have to, because they need 4. They need the touchdown. And they go for quarterback sneak. He doesn't get it. He gets stuffed. And so the Bills have the ball. They're going to run out the clock. Game's over. But Josh Allen fumbles the snap. They recover in the end zone for a touchdown. Now they're winning, but then Josh Allen takes them down the field and gets a field goal to tie the game at 30 with 20 or 34 seconds left. He goes Pat Mahomes on those fools. Now we're in overtime.
He did go Pat Mahomes on him.
Now we're in overtime. Vikings kick a field goal. If you're watching this game, Josh Allen is almost single-handedly willing the Bills down the field. He's running for big chunks of yards. He's running over defensive backs. It looks like Earl Campbell. Like he's just plowing over dudes. And they're into the scoring zone. And what does he do? He throws another pick.
Dead to the guy. I mean, dead to him.
Oh.
Do you think if they could go back and do it over again that they would take a safety instead of trying to take a snap on the 1-yard line?
And only have 28 seconds? Yeah, I think so.
Good point on that. Absolutely good point. No, but that would have made the field goal and play then.
Yeah.
But that is one of the fundamentals, like throw ball,
he's a 6'5",
catch ball.
240. All he's got to do is take the snap and move forward. They're going to give him the down. They're not going to call him in the end zone.
No.
Was it? I mean, I saw the play, but was it the snap or was it his fault?
It's his hands. It was his hands.
It was just they just didn't connect. I mean, it was.
Yeah, and it was more his hands. He actually had it enough, and then he just kind of, what am I going to do? I got to try to tuck this thing. I mean, trying to tuck it too quick, trying to get out of the end zone, and there he goes, fumbling all over the place.
That That the wave of emotions in that game was they were just unbelievable. Even if you're a Vikings fan, so you were going crazy, but just as a casual fan watching the game, it was
I was like
unbelievable.
for the Vikings, like there's no way they're going to win this game.
I mean, that was
sort of like I was for the Dallas Cowboys. There's no way Green Bay is going to win this game. Up 14 points then.
Yeah,
and then Dak and then Dak and the wide receiver started that. Should he go under? Should he go over? All right, you're the dude with the ball in your hand. Don't throw it.
I'm starting to get off the Dak train. I don't think he's that.
I don't think the 2 picks were his problem or his fault personally, but that's on coordination of the offense.
And what is the deal if you run the ball in football, period? If you run for 6 yards, you automatically have to throw it on second down. Why can't you run it again?
Call Kellen Moore.
Even Malik Davis, the third-string running back last night, he was breaking runs for 10, 12 yards.
Yeah, I like that dude. Tony Pollard was over 120 yards in that game. But again, the Cowboys' biggest problem is their own defense. And then, obviously, the Cowboys got pretty screwed on a non-pass interference call on a big third down play with CeeDee Lamb, Jair Alexander. They didn't call it. Mike McCarthy was furious. They went for it on fourth down.
Is that when he threw his headset?
Yeah. And the play call was just terrible because you knew if you don't get it there,
man.
Aaron Rodgers is going to go beat you in overtime. And, that was frustrating at every level for the Cowboys. And that's a tough one because we know the Cowboys now have to play Minnesota. At Minnesota, that's a tough place to play in that building. Then they have to play the Giants, who are 7-2 on Thanksgiving.
It's like the Hornsey. Every time I see him lined up in that whatever formation is, Tiger or Hurricane or whatever it is, in that direct snap, Wildcat, my head goes like straight down, like, they know. Just take a step. Wherever the running back takes a step to, everybody, let's just meet there for lunch because they're going that way. There's nothing off of that. Can I get the kid from Alabama to get a jet sweep every once in a while? Just toss it up in the air, let him come flying by, stretch out the defense just a little bit, Horns. Just stretch it out. I mean, he may not go for anything. He may get a loss of 2 yards, but can we stretch the field a little bit so everything isn't, from tackle to tackle?
Yeah, I felt like on that play, though, Bijan didn't cut back to the right hole. But he ran.
And the lead blocker got semi-blown up.
Yeah, Roschon got blown up. He was going to follow him, and that's where – but if you look at the cutback lane, it's wide open for Bijan, who normally makes that cut.
I don't generally say that about him, but there was a couple of those early runs. He was kind of tentative, but I could – just the way he ran.
Yeah. Well, all right. So a lot to talk about. Obviously, Steve Sarkisian will be talking about it and all of it coming up at 11 o'clock this morning, his weekly news conference. We'll have that for you. But coming back, we've got your Dallas Cowboys defensive play of the big game yesterday. Unfortunate loss in overtime. It's B&E on the Horn.
It's Bucky and Aaron.
3rd down and 3. Down and a long 3 at the Green Bay 16.
And they love hitting the edge here on this 3rd down. 3rd and short, then Aaron Jones to the edge.
Can they get them off the field and create field position? Rodgers in the gun. No pass rush. Pumps now. They get him and
Ball's
down he
out.
goes. The ball's out at the 10-yard line. Who has it? Looks like Green Bay has it. It looks that way. Well, he had forever. And oh, wait a minute. Hold on. J-Ron Kearse has the ball. And how about that? I don't think he just went to academy.
Brad Allen just signaled Cowboys ball. Our referee, Brad Allen, said, "Yep, you got it." Wow.
All right, there you go. The good, the bad, and the ugly this morning, and that's your Viking Fence defensive play of the game from the Cowboys game. We had the Longhorn defensive play of the game earlier. There's your Viking Fence defensive play of the game, and that certainly was a big one for Dallas. Now, they didn't score on that, right? That was one of the Dak picks. Did he not after the fumble? That was one where I think that Dalton Schultz was supposed to cross underneath and run a flatter route than he did, and it turned out to be a pick. But defensive play of the game brought to you by Viking Fence. 50 years, still locally owned and operated. You have a Viking Fence around your home.
Yes, I do.
They do an amazing job and have for so long. They control the raw materials, longest warranties in the industry, their own custom cutting facility, lumber mill. They've got their ironworks facility. They are the total package. That's why they're the best and have been for 5 decades on VikingFence.com.
And we can quit going after punts 5 times a game now, too.
Well, I'm seeing a lot of people complaining on Twitter about...
It's roughing the guy's in the air. He has to be able to come down, has to have a foot down.
Well, everybody's pointing out that DeMarvion Overshown didn't touch the punter, but he did actually touch his back heel. And by rule, the rule's not about hitting the punter. It's about letting the punter land. You can't be underneath him. That's the rule.
That's more dangerous than actually hitting him.
Right. Because he's a vulnerable guy up there.
And taking out that plant leg.
And that's what the rule is intended for. And so DeMarvion, but to argue that he didn't touch him, who cares? He was right underneath him, which is the letter of the rule. And that's a mistake by the special teams and by DeMarvion Overshown, a senior on your team. And that was a big moment of the game.
You got to quit doing that. If you don't get it after the second time, okay, we're done.
Yeah, there's a lot to, outside of, because look, the defense was phenomenal. Like 5 sacks, 14 tackles for loss, scored a touchdown. It is really, really hard to say anything critical of the defense. But they did give up 2 big plays, which is going to happen in a football game, but they gave them up. And
make another play.
And when Texas got the ball game to within 7 points with 4 minutes to go, they couldn't get a stop.
And you knew what they were going to do.
Right, and that's critical. I know Sonny Dykes is excited about that his team was able to plow it. They had a hard time controlling the line of scrimmage all night, but in that moment, they did. Now, I don't know if anybody in the building thought that if Texas could get a stop, that Quinn Ewers was going to take them down the field to tie the game, but different story. I don't think there was a lot of confidence of that happening, but the defense couldn't get a stop. So for Sark today, there'll be a lot to talk about, a lot of corrections to be made. I know Sark's going to be positive today, and we're not giving up on this season. They're still they're bowl eligible. They can get to 8-4. There's still a chance to play in the Big 12 title game, although slight. But I'm sure that's a lot of what we'll hear. But the questioning should be along the lines of the offense.
Well, is it going to happen again? That's what people need to know.
Well, Kansas's coach is up for Coach of the Year, Lance Leipold. But if he doesn't copy the exact same game plan defensively, or tell his defensive coordinator, hey, do just that, and let's see what this Quinn Ewers, if he's developed from week to week, because it's not getting better, and he's going to focus on one guy.
Tomlinson, the guys from TCU, their secondary is pretty. There's decent
we knew
secondary.
Going in. Those are 2 NFL corners. We had Landry Burdine on the show on Friday. He talked about Tomlinson, LaDainian's nephew.
He's a little old dude, man.
He's tough though. He is
tough, but he's 5'9" maybe.
But he is a scrappy, tough. Both those corners are good. And that was the thing, right? If you're going to bring that many, you got to be able to press them on the outside and play tight coverage. And then they also disguised their coverage pretty well behind it, even though they had limited numbers. And Quinn Ewers is just not seeing it, man. I keep saying it's like he's looking through a toilet paper tube. I mean, the field looks that small. He's not seeing the whole thing, the big picture, which is what great quarterbacks do. Gosh, I saw Tom Brady, who's the greatest of all time, in Germany yesterday. He threw a touchdown pass to Godwin where it was his 4th option. He started to the right, looked to the middle, came back to the left, and just, obviously he's the greatest to ever play. But that's the progressions it takes to play that position, and right now, number 3 just isn't going through him. which makes him easy to defend. If you stop their run,
oh yeah,
then you try to read his eyes and who's his primary go. That's where we're going to go, which is frustrating because if you're at the game when he's locking in on one guy, you can see other open receivers. You're going, what are you doing?
Don't throw that bomb. Don't throw them bombs.
Look around. All right, Buck.
Hey, win this game.
Win this game. You
That's
still
right.
drinking the Kool-Aid?
I'm still drinking the Kool-Aid. I don't give up that easy. Still drinking the Kool-Aid. See who we play next?
Ty was drinking a lot, just not Kool-Aid this weekend. Right, T.Y.?
That's right.
Hey, y'all have a wonderful Monday.
Coach got to burn that outfit, though.
Props to the Horned Frogs. Enjoy Monday Night Football tonight. Cowboy fans will be watching. Eagles play Washington. Eagles can get to 9-0. Commanders. I'll be watching. You'll be watching. We'll be talking about it tomorrow morning. We'll also have Sark Sound from today's press conference and all the big topics on a busy, busy Tuesday. Had a good one. Coming up next, Light the Tower. Sure, it's Chad and Zay through the midday. Ball Don't Lie this afternoon. And then Soccer Matters, remember, 7 o'clock tonight. Y'all have a wonderful Monday. We'll see you Tuesday morning, bright and early, 6 a.m.